Sergeant at Arms, you can ring the quorum bell for 10 minutes.
So the prayer has been said and the chair taken. However, there is a quorum hitch at the commencement of the House, and the Speaker has directed that the quorum bell be rung for 10 minutes. And as the House awaits to correct, we shall continue to take a look at some of the priority business that the House this morning, as it convenes for this plenary sitting, shall be transacting. Earlier on, I had indicated that there are two bills that have been lined up as priority business for consideration at the committee of the whole House. This is the Breastfeeding Mothers Bill, sponsored by Honorable Sabina Chege, and also the Sports Amendment Bill, sponsored by Honorable Irene Mayaka. And these are bills that have gone through the first reading, then they were also committed to the relevant committees, and where they went through public participation and also came back to the House for debate. So what awaits this particular bill is consideration of any amendments that may have been moved during those stages, that is at the public participation as well as the debate stage, for those amendments to be adopted, either adopted to be part of the bill or also as well rejected. So the Breastfeeding Mothers Bill is one that seeks to provide for a legal framework on mothers who may wish to breastfeed their children at the workplace, just to encourage the employers to be able to provide a conducive environment for the breastfeeding mothers to be able to either breastfeed their children or also express milk to be able to be provided to the infants. And presently, female employees exit the workforce or stop breastfeeding in order to secure their job security. And in this is a situation that should not be experienced or witnessed, that no woman should be forced to compromise the health of her child in order to make a living. So this is a bill that seeks to provide for the fundamental principles and rights at work for a breastfeeding mother, and also provides for the right to freely breastfeed or express one's milk for the baby. It also places an obligation on the employers to provide breastfeeding working mothers with rooms to either breastfeed or express their milk. So basically, these are some of the proposals in this particular bill. And once the House commences, then these particular considerations on this particular bill shall be taken into consideration, or shall be discussed, and the members shall proceed to either adopt any amendments that may have been moved therein or reject. The Sports Amendment Bill, also originating from the National Assembly, is another bill that has been lined up to be considered at the committee of the whole House. I can say the Honorable Member Irene Mayaka is already in the chamber. This is a bill that she has sponsored. And basically, this bill is one that seeks to amend the Sports Act. This is an amendment to an existing act, an amendment to an existing act, and seeks to make amendments to Cap 223, seeking to prohibit and criminalize manipulation of sports competitions. Also, the bill amends Section 58 of the Act to include appeals from Sports Kenya dealing with the manipulation of a sports competition in the jurisdiction of the Sports Tribunal. The bill also introduces new sections that prescribes the offence of...
Sergeant at Arms, you can stop the bell. We have the first order.
Order number 1, administration of oath. Order number 2, communication from the chair. Order number 3, messages. Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Wednesday, 19th August, morning sitting 2026. 1. Reports of the Auditor General and Financial Statement for the years ended 30th June 2021, 30th June 2022, 30th June 2023, 30th June 2024, 30th June 2025, and the certificates therein in respect of the following. 1. Kituro High School, Baringo. Miruriri Boys Secondary School, Meru. Mikinduri Girls Secondary School, Meru County. Ntunene Girls Secondary School, Meru County. Ointomboi Boys High School, Baringo. Gaitu Secondary School, Meru County. Ndare Secondary School, Meru County. Kirige Boys High School, Meru County. Holy Rosary Girls Secondary School, West Pokot County. Ngara Girls High School, Nairobi City County. Joseph Alamano Wacharo Boys Secondary School, Embu County. Ntulele Secondary School, Narok County. Salvation Army Aboloi Secondary School, Busia County. David Lee Adventist Nagis Secondary School, Turkana County. Ruiru Boys Secondary School, Kiambu County. Dagoretti High School, Nairobi City County. Upper Hill School, Nairobi City County. Kaliwa Secondary School, Kitui County. Kakuyuni Secondary School.
A moment, Mheshimiwa wako, Honorable Osoro. You are holding an illegal meeting. Proceed. Proceed, Honorable Wako.
Kaliwa Secondary School, Kitui County. Kakuyuni Secondary School, Machakos County. Lekisem Mixed Secondary School, Kajiado County. St. Andrian Kiongwani Boys High School, Makueni County. Kivuduni Secondary School, Makueni County. And St. Jude Girls High School, Napara, Bungoma County. Number 2, reports of the Auditor General and Financial Statement for the years ended 30th June 2024, 30th June 2025, and the certificates therein in respect of the following.
Yes, what is your point of order? But I don't know what point of order
Madam
you
Speaker,
have.
I invite you.
Hold on, Honorable Murui. This is just papers being laid. I don't know what the point of order can be. So please be seated and allow Honorable Wako to proceed. If you have another point of order on something else, I will let you. Proceed, Honorable Wako. Honorable Wako, proceed.
Thank you. Number 1, Hillcrest PTS Secondary School, Nakuru County. 2, Kamandura Girls High School, Kiambu County. Regina Saeli Girls High School, Karinga, Kiambu County. Larry Boys Secondary School, Kiambu County. And St. Augustine of Siena Mugunda Girls Secondary School, Nyeri County. St. John's Malivani School, Makueni County. St. Joseph Girls High School, Trans Nzoia County. St. Anne Gidunguri Girls Secondary School, Nyeri County. And 10, Kimolot Secondary School, Bomet County. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I lay.
Thank you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion. Order numbers 7, questions and statements. Order number 8, committee of the whole House.
Order members. Order members, we are in the committee of the whole house. And the bill we are working on this morning is the Sports Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2026.
Clause 3.
I propose the question that clause 3 be part of the bill. Chair? Chairman? Honorable Naomi Wako, you are prosecuting on behalf of the chair. Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Notice is given that Chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Sports and Culture intends to move the, amendments. Clause 2, that Clause 2 of the bill be amended by deleting the proposed definition of the term manipulation of a sports competition and substituting, therefore, the following new definition.
Leader, clause 3. So kindly go to clause 3.
Clause 3. Clause 3, that the bill be amended by deleting clause 3 and substituting, therefore, the following new clause. Sorry, Chair.
You may approach the table, Naomi. You may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I beg to move that clause 3 of the bill be amended as it appears in the order paper. Honorable Speaker, the proposed amendment establishes a two-tier framework for the investigation of manipulation of sports competition by providing for independent investigation by both the Directorate of Criminal Investigation and the relevant sports organization. The committee noted that the manipulation of the sports competition may constitute both a criminal offense and a breach of sporting rules, necessitating separate but concurrent process. Honorable Chair, Constitution rules regulation, Honorable Chair, to ensure the effective enforcement and accountability.
Thank you. Honorable members, I propose the question that clause 3 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Naomi Wako. The Honorable Justice Kemei, member for Sigowet, Soin.
Madam Chair, I do support the amendment, knowing very well, Madam Chair, that we must play clean in sports, that we must be fair, that the competition must be seen to be proper competition. I support the fact that in the event of any manipulation, the investigation should be broadened to include DCI, the sports authorities, and indeed any other investigative organ that we have in this country. Madam Chair, I support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Irene Mayaka, nominated member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, as the sponsor of this particular bill, I also do support this particular amendment, especially because it gives more insights and boosts the initial bill in terms of ensuring that there's a two-tier investigation process, and also based off on the feedback that the committee received from different stakeholders, in that they feel that this should be pulled away from the people who are within the sports fraternity and moved over to the DCI. So this really helps to make the process to be even better. So I do support the amendments. Thank you.
Thank you. I put the question that clause 3 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Naomi Wako. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 3 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 4.
I propose the question that clause 4 be part of the bill. The Honorable Naomi Wako.
Chair, I beg to move that clause 4 of the bill be amended as it appears in the order paper. The deletion of clause 4 is necessary, noting that the amendment to clause 3 removes the proposed obligation of Sports Kenya to conduct investigation. The committee observed that Sports Kenya mandate primarily involves the management of sports facilities. Therefore, it lacks the institutional and technical capacity to investigate allegation of manipulation. The investigation will be more effective conducted by the Directorate of Criminal Investigation and the relevant sports organization as highlighted in the amendment to clause 3. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. I propose the question that clause 4 be deleted as proposed by the Honorable Naomi Wako. The Honorable Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, once again, this is an amendment that I fully supported because given the feedback from the stakeholders, especially the different sporting federations in the country, they felt that inclusion of Sports Kenya as part of the investigation structure would actually not make the process independent. Therefore, by deleting and ensuring that this is strictly addressed as through the criminal directives and investigation bodies within the country, makes the process become more independent and therefore be seen to be fair to all the people who are involved. So given those reasons, I do support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you. And I put the question that clause 4 be deleted as proposed by the Honorable Naomi Wako. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. That clause stands deleted.
Clause 5.
I propose the question that clause 5 be part of the bill. Naomi?
Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 5 of the bill be amended as it appears in the order paper. The amendment seeks to provide stricter penalties for the offense of manipulation of a sports competition so as to provide effective deterrence for the commission of the offense. The amendment further empowers sports organizations to take disciplinary action, including the imposition of fines, bans, deregistration, or re-registration to protect the integrity of sports and deter misconduct. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you. I propose the question that clause 5 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Naomi Wako. Honorable Justice Kemei.
Madam Chair, I want to support the amendment brought in by Honorable Naomi Wako. Madam Chair, the sports field in this country, and indeed the whole world, is now so competitive such that undue practices some people may be tempted to bring on board undue practices. So the punishment that we need to give to those who do that, Madam Chair, must be really punitive so that we leave sports as a clean field of economic and recreational activities. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, and I'll put the question. Before I put the question, I can see the chairman is in. The Honorable Daniel Wanyama, member for Webuye.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I want to support the amendments. Having been a sports person, the competition is now very, very high. And there's chances that other people want to use different means to actually unfairly win or actually compete in these games. Therefore, for this to be deterred, actually the punishment for those who will be gotten having manipulated or used other means to win, it should be actually be very punitive so that we deter and let this sport be clean, and if you win clean. I support the amendment.
Thank you. The Honorable Irene Mayaka.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, once again, this particular amendment is in line with the feedback that we did receive from the various stakeholders and also members of Parliament while we were debating the bill at second reading, where most members felt that the initial fine that I had suggested in a bill of 1 million was not punitive enough. And therefore, the amendment that gives more stringent punishment to the offenders, being either exceeding 3 times the value of what was the subject of manipulation or 10 million shillings, whichever is higher, as one of the amendments to make this even more strict and more stringent is very important, Honorable Chair, because as it has been said by most people, is that anyone who is a beneficiary of match fixing could maybe be benefiting out of a very high sum of money. So when you put a fine of 1 million shillings, then it doesn't feel punitive enough, and it doesn't, in essence, take away the practice. So this being made to be more punitive is actually helping
Honorable
to
Mayaka,
ensure.
I know you are very.
I was just concluding.
I know you are very conversant, and this is a very dear bill to you. But remember, we are in the committee of the whole, so I would like to request that you make quick comments.
Yeah, I was just about to conclude, Honorable Speaker, by saying that I do support the amendment based on those remarks. I thank you.
Member for Kericho County.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. I want to support this amendment with this fact that sports is key in the urban and in the rural. It earns some of our people earn a living out of this. But because of manipulation, some of them may not even continue, and they don't actually get what they're supposed to get. And therefore, when this punishment is given to the offenders, I know there will be equality and there will be that freedom. So I support. There will be no bribery for that case. And therefore, this is important. I support.
Thank you very well. The Honorable Tom Odege, member for Nyatike.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. You can pass this one.
Thank you. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 5 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Naomi Wako. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 5 is amended be part of the bill. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 2.
I propose the question that clause 2 be part of the bill. Honorable Naomi, are you still going to assist the chairman? Okay, please continue. Member for Marsabit.
I beg, Honorable Chair, I beg to move that clause 2 of the bill be amended as it appears in the order paper. The amendment of the definition of the term manipulation of sports competition is necessary to remove duplication of offenses as contained in existing laws, as well as to ensure that the elements of the offense as defined will be attainable. Thank you, Honorable Chair.
Thank you very much, honorable members. I propose the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Naomi Wako. Honorable Simon Kingara, member for Ruiru. Please trace the member for Ruiru.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I had put an intervention just to support it because sport is like a cash crop of this country. Unfortunately, we do not take it seriously. So if we come with ample laws, it will be heading to lead for more performance and goodwill of the same. Thank you. Madam Speaker, Madam Chair, and I support.
Member for Lamu East, Honorable Roida.
Asante, B. Speaker. Nami naunga mkono marekebisho ya katiba. Marekebisho ya sheria. Kusema la kweli, hii itatusaidia hata wale walio kule mashinani au tuseme vijijini, kwa sababu hawa watu wengine wa huku matown, miji mikubwa, wana ujanja mwingi. Wale wetu wakija wanachanganyikiwa, hawaujui ule ujanja. Sasa wanatumia ujanja, wale wanatolewa na huwa ni wana spoti wazuri. Kuna mambo mengi yametokea, wale watu wetu wakija huku wanakosa, sio kwamba wanashindwa kucheza, ni kwa sababu kuna ujanja unatumika. So na huwa ni ukora. Kwa hivyo hizi sheria zikirekebishwa na wale wetu watapata nafasi. Asante, B. Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, I now put the question that clause 2 be amended as proposed by the Honorable Naomi Wako. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I now put the question that clause 2 as amended be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Title.
I propose the question that the title be the title of the bill. There be no amendment. I put the question that the title be the title of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
Clause 1.
I propose the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. There be no amendment. I put the question that clause 1 be part of the bill. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. So now we move to report. To move reporting, I give the first opportunity to the mover. Naomi? The owner of the bill is in the house. The owner of the bill, the Honorable Irene Mayaka, and I must say that you're doing a very good job as the first-term member of Parliament and as a nominated member. You have done an exemplary job in this house.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Honorable Chair, I beg to move that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Sports Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2026, and its approval thereof with amendments.
Thank you, honorable members. I put the question, which is that the committee do report to the House its consideration of the Sports Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2026, and its approval thereof with amendments. As many as have that opinion say aye. As many as have a contrary opinion say nay. The ayes have it. Honorable members, before we move to the next step, I would like to report that the Breastfeeding Mothers Bill, National Assembly Bill number 8 of 2024 by the Honorable Sabina Chege is deferred.
Honorable members, Madam Speaker,
Honorable members, Chairperson.
Thank you. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to report that the Committee of the Whole House has considered the Sports Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2026, and approved the same with amendments.
Move of the bill.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the House do agree with the committee in the said reports. I also request the Honorable Dan Wanyama, Chair of Sports Committee, to second the motion for agreement with the reports of the Committee of the Whole House.
Honorable Wanyama, proceed.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to second and appreciate that this bill brought by Honorable Irene Mayaka will bring sanity in the sports fraternity, and I also want to appreciate Honorable Wako for stepping in because I didn't know that the first bill was going to be stepped down. I thank you.
Say, I beg to move. I beg to second, sorry.
Well guided, Honorable Speaker. I beg to second.
Thank you. Honorable members, I propose the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. May I put the question? Honorable members, I now put the question, which is that the House do agree with the committee in the said report. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Mover. You can move it to third reading. Okay.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that the Sports Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2026, be now read a third time. I also request the Honorable Naomi Wako to second.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I second.
Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that the Sports Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5 of 2026, be now read a third time. Put the question. Thank you, honorable members. I have now I therefore now put the question, which is that the parliamentary pension. I now put the question, which is that the Sports Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 5, be now read a third time. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it.
A bill for an act of parliament to amend the Sports Act and for connected purposes.
Next order.
Order number 9, the Employment Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 62 of 2023. Second reading, resumption of debate.
Okay, honorable members, we can resume the debate of the Employment Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 62 of 2023, proposed by Honorable Didimas Baraza. Nobody was on the floor, but we still have a balance of 1 hour, 23 minutes. Members who want to contribute, please you can press the intervention button. I can see Honorable Dawood, so if there is no more interest, can we get the mover to reply? Who's the mover? Is not here? Okay, we'll defy it and the mover can come back to reply. So let's go back to the next order.
Order number 10, the Micro and Small Enterprises Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 25 of 2025, second reading.
Honorable members, before we proceed, allow me to introduce the following schools who are in the speakers gallery. Kipkeino Junior School from Tarbo constituency, Uasin Gishu County. the city of champions, the home of champions, and the source of champions. That's my county. Welcome. On behalf of the substantive speaker and myself, we welcome you to the precincts of Parliament. I also wish to introduce a school that is sitting in the public gallery, Mwasua Comprehensive School from Mwala constituency, Machakos County. Again, on behalf of the substantive speaker, myself, and the members of the National Assembly, we welcome you to Parliament, and we wish you fruitful undertakings here. Thank you. The mover, Honorable Mukunji Gitonga, is not in the House for the Micro and Small Enterprises Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill 2025, Bill number 25 of 2025 is not in, so we defer it again to a later date. Can we move to the next motion?
Order number 11, motion, mandatory guidance and counseling program in all primary and secondary schools in Kenya.
Yes, and I've seen Honorable Rehab Bukami is in the House, member for Nyeri County. Proceed, Honorable Mukami.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that aware that runners in primary and secondary schools across the country are increasingly exposed to social, psychological, and behavior challenges, including drug and substance abuse, indiscipline, school unrest, and academic and performance. Noting that there has been a disturbing rise in cases of sexual violence against children, including incidents where minors are abused or killed by individuals known to them, including relatives and caregivers, thereby exposing learners to trauma and long-term psychological harm. Further noting that many learners come from homes affected by domestic violence, family instability, economic hardship, and other social pressure that adversely affect their emotional well-being. Safety and concentration in schools are concerned the guidance and counseling services in most primary and secondary schools. These remain informal, inadequately structured, and under-resourced with no standardized national framework to ensure professionalism, accountability, and effective delivery. Appreciating that structured psychosocial support, life skill training, child protection awareness, and early intervention during formative years are critical in safeguarding learners, strengthening resilience, promoting discipline, and improving academic outcome. This House, therefore, resolves that the government, through the Ministry of Education, introduces a mandatory, structured, and mind-tabled guidance and counseling program in all public and private and secondary schools in Kenya. Develops and implements a national policy framework providing for the recruitment, accreditation, and deployment of professionally trained school counselors. Integrate mental health education, child protection awareness, personal safety training, and life skills development into the school curriculum. Allocate adequate to support counseling services in schools and establishes clear coordination and referral mechanism between schools, child protection institutions, and relevant government agencies to ensure effective safeguarding of learners. Honorable Speaker, Article 43 of the Constitution of Kenya 2010 provides for the economic and social rights for every person in Kenya. It guarantees that every Kenyan has the right to education and highest attainable standard of health, including psychological health, hence counseling guidance, and provides a good basis for a broader education for life. It is the foundation of more general life skills training. Program for any student to be assisted in building up personal resources in order to cope effectively with their future lives. Guidance and counseling is imperative in effective teaching and learning in schools for the child's future success. Honorable Speaker, the government has a constitutional responsibility to protect children from harm and ensure their well-being. Many learners face abuse, neglect, and exploitation that often remain hidden because they lack safe spaces to speak out. A mandatory counseling program will ensure that trained professionals can identify warning signs early and provide appropriate support, while also linking schools to child protection institutions such as the National Council for Children's and Services. Honorable Speaker, our nation prides itself on investing in education because we understand that the future of Kenya lies in the hearts of our children. Yet today, many of our learners in primary and secondary school are silently battling challenges that go far beyond the classrooms. I'm sure the children who are out here, they understand what I'm talking about. They expose drugs and substances abuse, indiscipline, school unrest, emotional distress, and poor academic performances. These challenges are not isolated incidents, they are signs of deeper socio-psychological struggles facing our young people. Honorable Speaker, there has also been a deeply disturbing rise in cases of sexual violences against children. In some heartbreaking situations, minors have been abused or even killed by individuals known to them, including relatives, caregivers, uncles, and even the neighbors. Such tragic incidents learner traumatized and emotionally scared for life. Many students carry these burdens quietly because they have no safe and trusted system within schools to help them process their experiences and also really affect their self-esteem. Further, Honorable Speaker, many learners come from homes affected by domestic violence, family instability, poverty, and other social pressure. These circumstances affect their emotional well-being, and they are not able even to concentrate with their studies. A child who goes to school with fear, trauma, or confusion in their mind cannot expect to perform well academically or develop into a confident and responsible citizen. Definitely their self-esteem becomes affected. Honorable Speaker, the need for guidance and counseling services in school cannot be overstated due to increasingly difficulties of modern life that placed heavy demands and responsibility on pupils and students. We know exactly what is happening because of the social media. The Kenyan government recognized guidance and counseling as an essential services that should be given to every student. Since the 1990s, the education system in Kenya has faced dynamic and rapid changes that have had overwhelming effect both on the child, teacher, school, society at large, and furthermore, education policies have changed over years. Because you know, Honorable Speaker, today, like us, we went up to class 8. Today, the children are having CBC. All those challenges and changes are really affecting our children. So they need to be taken through. In 2001, corporal punishment in school was banned to be replaced with more appropriate approaches to discipline and behavior modification, and instant guidance and counseling of pupils and students became an important aspect. Additionally, support of guidance and counseling in schools has been evidenced in policy document, Kenya Education Sector Support Program, 2005 detailing the government plan for education and guidance and counseling as one of the areas require support. Honorable Speaker, where guidance and counseling services extend in some schools, they remain largely informal, inconsistent, and under-resourced. In many cases, teachers are assigned counseling roles without professional training or sufficient time to address the complex issues affecting learners. As a result, the support provided is often inadequate and lacks the structure, professionalism required to address modern psychological challenges. Honorable Speaker, as corporal punishment remains banned and children becoming more aware of their rights, guiding and counseling becomes an important channel for reaching the children in schools. The children, too being teenagers, experience a time of storm and stress characterized by mixed reaction of being happy at one moment and extremely sad at another moment. The reaction to such situations are likely to be intense and volatile, with parents being too busy to give children quality time and attention. The responsibility has been left to rest squarely on the shoulders of the teachers to help students make decisions on aspects that affect their lives. This, therefore, necessitates the need to strengthen guidance and counseling in school. It is for this reason that this motion proposes for the introduction of mandatory, structured, and timetabled guidance and counseling program in all public and private school and secondary school across the country, implemented through Ministry of Education. Honorable Speaker, such a program will ensure that learners have access to trained counselors who can provide professional psychosocial support, life skills, education, and intervention when problem lies. Early intervention during the formative years of a child development is essential in preventing long-term psychological harm, guiding learners towards responsibility. Honorable Speaker, foundation of a child is very, very important. I remember us when we were being brought up, we really used to go through counseling through churches. I would also call upon the churches to be calling children for counseling sessions in churches, because when you grow knowing God also plays a very important role in child's life. Secondly, the motion proposes the development of a national policy framework for the recruitment, accreditation, and deployment of professionally trained schools counselors. This will ensure that counseling services in our schools are handled by qualified individuals who are equipped with the necessary expertise to support learners effectively. Thirdly, Honorable Speaker, the motion calls for the integration of mental health education, child protection awareness, personal safety trainings, and life skills development into the curriculum. These elements are already consistent with the goals of the competency-based curriculum development by the Kenya Institute of Curriculum Development, which seeks to nurture not only academic excellence, but also emotional intelligence, resilience, and responsible decision-making. Honorable Speaker, structured counseling program will also help address serious national concern, such as drug and substance abuse among young people, through education and detection. And Honorable Speaker, we know exactly what is happening because of social media, our TVs, phones. Through education and earlier detection, schools can work closely with the institutions such as the National Authority for the Campaign Against Alcohol and Drug Abuse to protect our learners from addiction and harmful influences. Additionally, proper counseling services will strengthen the discipline and reduce cases of school unrest. Many student strikes and acts of indiscipline arise from unresolved frustration, emotional distress, or lack of communication between learners and school authorities. Providing professional support system will help learners express their concern constructively and resolve conflict peacefully. Honorable Speaker, the motion further calls for adequate allocation of resources to support counseling services and the establishment of clear referral mechanisms between schools, children protection institutions, and other relevant government agencies. Such as coordination will ensure that cases of abuse, neglect, or serious psychological distress are handled promptly and professionally. Honorable Speaker, this motion is about safeguarding the well-being of our children. It is recognizing that education is not only about books and examination, but about nurturing healthy, confident, and emotionally stable individuals who can contribute positively to the society. Honorable Speaker, if we fail to address the psychological and social challenges facing our learners today, we risk raising a generation that is academically trained and emotionally unsupported. If we act now, we will build a stronger education system that protects, guides, and empowers every child in our country. Honorable Speaker, I'll conclude by stating that despite the many challenges currently facing schools counseling in Kenya, there is a general consensus that guidance and counseling plays an important role in a student development, as evidenced by numerous calls from the government to implement guidance and counseling. Further, given the volatile situation in Kenyan primary and secondary schools today, there is need for the Ministry of Education and its stakeholders to strengthen guidance and counseling, both at the ministry and school level, by providing teacher counselors to every public school, facilitate their training, and provide the necessary resources to enable them perform their duties. Honorable Speaker, I therefore urge this Honorable House to support this motion and to commit ourselves to creating safe, supportive, and nurturing learning environment for all Kenyans learners. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move. I now request Honorable Mulagala to second the motion. I thank you.
Honorable Mulagala, Wakili.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, just before I move into seconding, may I request that the time for stay for the students in our galleries be extended a little bit. This is very important for them. It's good they listen to it instead of us addressing Parliament when they are absent, and the motion is actually on their well-being. Honorable Speaker, I rise to second.
I think that has been handled. They have been allowed to stay a little longer.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Thank you very much. Honorable Speaker, I rise to second this very important motion on the establishment of mandatory guidance and counseling programs in all primary and secondary schools. And we are privileged that as we do this, we have several schools that are in the house. We have little children listening to us because this is on their well-being, their welfare, and how they can circumnavigate their education in schools without the difficulties we are seeing today. Honorable Speaker, the future of this nation sits every morning in classrooms. Yet many of these young learners carry burdens that we cannot see because they are burdens of stress. These are internal fear, confusion, and social pressure. Today, we must ask ourselves a very difficult question, which is also necessary. Are we educating the minds of our children while neglecting their emotional and psychological well-being? Because statistics from our schools, from the Ministry of Education, from time to time, show the following. The year 2024, the Ministry of Education reported 239 cases of school unrests and 107 cases of fire incidents. These were both in our primary and secondary schools. Many of them involved the classrooms being set ablaze, and at times we lost lives. Absolutely worrying and alarming. Honorable Speaker, in September 2024, the country was shaken by the tragic fire at Hillside and the Russia Academy in Nyeri County, where 21 young learners lost their lives. And if we look into the history, tragedies as the Changuli Secondary School fire claimed 67 young lives in 2001, when a dormitory was deliberately set on fire by fellow students. We cannot overlook what recently happened regarding the Utumishi Academy, and further back, we had a school in Meru. It was St. Kizito Secondary School, where again a similar incident took place and we lost lives. This may be from fire tragedies, it may be from riots, boys in neighboring schools attacking girls' schools, and what have you. We must ask ourselves the vital question: what is the root cause of all this? Honorable Speaker, these tragedies are not isolated incidents. They are warning signals to us, because these are young people, And we have said from time to time they are the leaders of tomorrow. We expect them seated in the public gallery today. Tomorrow, they will actually be sitting in this hallowed chamber, where there will be members of parliament representing various constituencies and counties as provided for in our constitution. Honorable Speaker, research and parliamentary reports have consistently shown that school unrests are often triggered by unresolved student grievances, peer pressure, examination anxiety, drug abuse, and the poor communication between the students and the administration. In many schools today, guidance and counseling exists only on paper. In reality, teachers who are already overwhelmed with the teaching duties are expected to double as counselors without proper training, facilities, or support. It's a problem that has been noted that in all schools today, if you go in, you find a teacher designated as the guidance and counselor teacher. But that teacher possibly has no training whatsoever, is loaded with the subjects in the classes, in the classrooms, and has no time to talk meaningfully to these young people. It is the reason why the member for Nyeri Town, the Honorable Rahab Mukami, and I got to thank you so much. That's what really an astute mother should do, which is to bring in motions that care for the children, motions that take care of our generation tomorrow. This is highly important and commendable. Now, our learners are navigating complex challenges in schools, which include the following: mental health struggles such as anxiety and depression, especially because of exams. And they are not the only ones. Even during our time of yore, we would actually get damn scared when exams were near, and sometimes we could also go on the rampage. Not just in the schools, even in the universities. You would hear students are rioting because exams are near, and they are trying to find ways and means of avoiding those exams. So it is not restricted to these youngsters. It has always been there. The case of drug and substance abuse is another one, where our children, knowingly or unknowingly, and sometimes it's because they do not have guidance and counseling. And the parents too, sometimes abandoning their role as parents, so that they don't take care of these children. They do not check what they eat, what they drink, etc., etc. We have the case of bullying and the cyber bullying. All that is bullying. Molesting children in school, whatever we used to call monos those days, I'm sure it doesn't exist anymore. It used to occur, and it would put students and the pupils into great pressure. We have other social vices that come along, including family breakdown and domestic violence, a father attacking the mother or the mother attacking the father in the presence of youngsters like these ones. A very, very bad example, which really is traumatizing to young people, because it can never be their wish, and it has never been the wish of children to see their parents fighting. And they should never. We should be discouraged from doing these things, especially in the presence of our children, because this is what is affecting them. Then we have relationships when they are very young, including young girls' pregnancies and etc. Career confusion and fear of academic failure. This is where parents insist on their children, you have to become a doctor. That child may not have that talent of being a doctor. He may be one of the best musicians in the country. And this is why CBC is commendable to a great extent, because it's trying to identify the talent of a young kid when the child is young. And therefore, that may save it. But before that happens, parents are there insisting that their children have to become lawyers, engineers, and other high-mentioned professions without caring about talent. Now, this is why we require professional support, so that even the counselors that are in schools are trained from time to time. The government takes it as a mandatory program whereby it will train the counselors, the guidance teachers so that the children in the primary and secondary schools are taken care of. Once that is done in the primary and secondary, it now becomes extremely easy to manage the children whether in the university, because as they enter university, majority of them are in the age of majority. And that being the case, we are able to guide them. Then what does this guidance and counseling program ensure? Every learner has access to professional psychological support. Schools establish structured counseling programs, and teachers are trained in the basic counseling and the mentorship skills. Then students have safe spaces to express grievances before they escalate into unrest. Absolutely a very important motion, and I therefore rise to second, commend Honorable Mukami for this good work, and urge that this House passes this motion and we can move on to take care of our children. I beg to second.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Honorable Murungara. Before I propose the question, honorable members, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome students seated in the speaker's gallery this morning. Students from Highlands Plateau School from Moiben constituency in Uasin Gishu County. You may stand to be recognized. Thank you. You are welcome to the National Assembly to continue observing proceedings of the House. Order, members. Order, Honorable Mayaka, with your team. Honorable members, I propose a question, which is that aware that learners in primary and secondary schools across the country are increasingly exposed to social, psychological, and behavioral challenges, including drug and substance abuse, indiscipline, school unrest, and academic underperformance, noting that there has been a disturbing rise in cases of sexual violence against children, including incidents where minors are abused or killed by individuals known to them, including relatives and caregivers, thereby exposing learners to trauma and long-term psychological harm. Further noting that many learners come from homes affected by domestic violence, family instability, economic hardships, and other social pressures that adversely affect their emotional well-being, safety, and concentration in school, concerned that guidance and counseling services in most primary and secondary schools remain informal, inadequate, and structured and under-resourced, with no standardized national framework to ensure professionalism, accountability, and effective delivery, appreciating that structural psychological support, life skills training, child protection, awareness, and early intervention during formative years are critical in safeguarding learners, strengthening resilience, promoting discipline, and improving academic outcomes. This House therefore resolves that government, through the Ministry of Education, 1, introducing a mandatory structured and timetabled guidance and counseling program in all public and private primary and secondary schools in Kenya. 2, develops and implements a national policy framework providing for order. Order, members standing in front of the Honorable Mayaka. I'll go back to 2. Develops and implements a national policy framework providing for the recruitment, accreditation, and deployment of professionally trained school counselors. 3, integrates mental health education, school protection awareness, personal safety training, and life skills development into the school curricula. 4, allocates adequate resources to support counseling services in schools. And 5, establishes clear coordination and referral mechanisms between schools, child protection institutions, and relevant government agencies to ensure effective safeguarding of learners. Honorable members, we may now proceed with debate, and I will start with the member for North Imenti, the Honorable Rahim Daud.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I have not even spoken, and Honorable Omboka wants to point of order. Madam Speaker, I join my colleague, Honorable Murugara, in seconding this motion by Honorable Rahab Mukami regarding the guidance and counseling program in all primary and secondary schools. Madam Speaker, this is a very important motion, and in supporting it, Honorable Rahab has touched a raw nerve in this country, because we've had issues like has been alluded, that the guidance which is lacking, because there may be a few schools who have established counseling and guidance, but it is not spread out, it's not structured, there is no formal way of doing it. Madam Speaker, last month, I had the occasion, a sad occasion in my constituency, where a young girl committed suicide.
Order, Honorable Rahim. Consultations. Rahab Mukami, you know this is your motion and it is very important. The Honorable Rahab Mukami, I know that people have started thinking about their constituencies, but because this is your motion, and I know that you have good intentions, just remain in your seat. And honorable members, those who are consulting, please consult in lower tones so that we can continue with business. Continue, Honorable Rahim.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, like I was saying, there was a sad incident in my constituency where a young girl, a grade 9 student, who committed suicide. And it was so sad that her colleagues or the students who were in the same class, when they came for the funeral, and the teachers when they were speaking, it was so sad that they needed now counseling, because the girl, the one who passed away, she probably had some mental challenges or some health, some challenges which could have been sorted out had there been a program of guidance and counseling in the school. Maybe they had, maybe they don't. So, Madam Speaker, this is a very important motion, and I wish once we pass it, if we can be turned into a bill so that it is mandatory. Madam Speaker, we have issues. Every other day we hear about mental health amongst even adults. What about the young children who are in school? Madam Speaker, we need to establish the teachers. We need to get the teachers going for courses, and we need to uplift whatever programs they are by the Ministry of Education. Once we get that into place, we may not eliminate whatever they're suffering, the young children, but we may reduce whatever is being done. So, Madam Speaker, I join Honorable Mukami in this motion, and I support. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Naomi Wako, member for Marsabit County.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to add my voice to this very important motion, as I also congratulate Honorable Mukami for coming up with this motion that is very relevant and that will help the country because of our young people and what they are going through. Honorable Speaker, having counseling program in both secondary school and in high school will help us, especially in our today's world where our young people go through so many challenges and influences, and sometimes they are not able even to manage themselves and their issues. And for us to propose that we have mandatory counseling in all primary and secondary school, we will nurture and mold our young people so that they can be better leaders for tomorrow and even for today. Honorable Speaker, counseling will help our young people to improve their mental health. As we know very well, as a result of a lot of stress, many of our young people are developing mental health. And it is not only young people, but even the grown-ups, even couples, develop mental health these days because of the challenges that are always around us. Again, counseling will help them to boost their academic performance. Honorable Speaker, Kenya is a very competitive country, and unless you have done very well in your academic performance and excelled, then you may struggle in future. And that is why counseling in primary school and high school will help our young people to, cope with the situation that they are in and also improve their academic performance. Again, Honorable Speaker, coping with any new situation is not easy. When you go to a new environment, when our primary school leavers join high school, there is always what we call culture shock. When we were young, they used to bully us, and we used to be called monos. And I'm sure many of our generation remember what we went through. But even today, we have different challenges that our young people face at different levels of their school. And that is why we want to encourage, and I support this motion, so that we provide counseling, which will also provide safe space to manage stress to our young people and also resolve conflict. Again, Honorable Speaker, when we provide counseling and also help them to manage their future and advise them even on their career paths, they'll be able to plan well for their future. And this, in turn, will help them to grow in a very safe space and help them to grow academically, spiritually, and also socially. Honorable Speaker, counseling will always help the students to overcome stress, to be more resilient, and also we know very well that today we have a lot of peer pressure. In some of our schools, the students are exposed to drug addiction. And that is why when we provide counseling, then we will be able to keep them off from all these negative influence. Again, Honorable Speaker, there is a lot of, many of our students have developed low self-esteem. When you come and maybe observe what you are not used to, our students develop low self-esteem. And that is why in all our schools, it is good for us to encourage the government to make sure that counseling is provided. Again, even beyond the school, in our churches, in madrasas, and in any space that we have a good gathering of young people, we should provide counseling so that our students or our young people will be able to cope with different situations. When you put into consideration the public schools, Honorable Speaker, in Kenya, we have many of our students who go to public schools, and that is where our students are meant to go. Few or a smaller percentage go to a private school whereby they get all the things that they need, and they also have enough space in the classrooms and do what they want to do. But in public schools, Honorable Speaker, and we know because of where we come from, we have overcrowded classrooms. We have few teachers trying to teach the students. And we also have some challenges that has to do with the new technology in all public schools. And poor infrastructure affects the students. Again, because of sometimes when our students get sick, they miss some few classes. And especially the girls, the young girls, sometimes even in some rural areas, when they are on their monthly period, they end up losing classes because of the challenges that they face. And when they lose classes, Honorable Speaker, we all know very well that when they come back, they face some challenges. So as a government, we should also propose the improvement of physical structures in every school so that every school will have, good number of students in every class. And also when it comes to sickness and any other health issue that may force a student to miss classes, then they get the necessary advice or counseling so that they can cope with the situation. Again, another challenge, Honorable Speaker, is financial stress. Some of our students or young people come from a very humble background, and also conflict at home, or those students who are single parent or single mothers have different challenges because their school fees are not paid in time, and they face, they are being bullied because of their social challenges and all these other things. In fact, together with the counseling, we should also suggest that how we can overcome some of these challenges, like financial challenges, so that the schools can, the management of the school can be careful so that our students will also not face challenges as a result of that. Honorable Speaker, I support this and agree with Honorable Rahab that we introduce mandatory structured timetabled guidance and counseling program in all public and private primary school and secondary school in Kenya, and also allocate adequate resources to support counseling services in the schools. When we do not have enough finances, these students may face challenges. And again, in addition to this, we used to have what we call church-sponsored schools, or we have nearby churches and also mosques that can provide counseling program as the government also plans to implement this. So this is a responsibility that belongs to all the parents, all the teachers, and the government. Let us not leave just to the school, but it is a shared responsibility. Let us try to mold our young people so that they can be a better people in future and also lead this country with a lot of respect. And we congratulate our young people for the best performance and everything, and let us pray that this motion will be put in place. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. The Honorable Beatrice Kemei, member for Kericho County.
Thank you, Honorable Chair and Speaker, for today. Sorry for giving me this opportunity, at least to support this motion on mandatory guidance and counseling program in primary and secondary schools in Kenya. And on the onset, I want to thank Honorable Rehab Mukami, the very able County MP for Nyeri, for bringing in this very, very important motion, Honorable Speaker. And I'm excited by this fact that us as legislators, we are able to see and even to help our teachers to see how to help our students. I'm saying this, Honorable Speaker, because I've been a teacher in secondary school for over 20 years, and my experience is that guidance and counseling services are so much needed in our schools. Our students come to school, you look at them when you are in class, they are not concentrating. Some of them display a behavior that you may not understand. So when you call them, you will find that the issues they have are so heavy that as a teacher, you may not be in a position even to sort all of them. And very few of our teachers are trained counselors. So I want to thank Honorable Rehab for bringing in this particular motion. Honorable Speaker, and the church is trying during holidays to do some meetings or conferences for the youth, that is to help them on their behavior, on their education, and everything else that goes with what a child should do. And noting that those days, in the so many years ago, there was this circumcision and the FGM. That is when the youth were taught on how to behave. And when we are done with the FGM, and I want to ask those who are still practicing it to stop it, there is the alternative way of dealing with the youth. And that is now where we talk of the church coming in to support and to counsel our youth. And in schools, the same. But now here, Honorable Speaker, and Honorable Rehab has put it very clearly that counseling is done everywhere, anyhow. Even our mothers, including us, we do talk to our youth, but we are not trained. Sometimes they may not be in a position even to let us know what they are going through, including even our own children. You will realize that they may not open up. But when a trained counselor comes in, they will be in a position to open up. And this is now where the government is asked through the ministry to introduce a mandatory, structured, and timetabled guidance and counseling programs in all schools, not in public alone, but private, both in primary, we talk of, and in secondary. And when they reach university and colleges, at least the burden will have been lifted. Honorable Speaker, I want to also support this fact that the cases of sexual violence against children is on the rise. And this fact that some of our minors have been abused or even killed by individuals known to them or even those who are not known, including relatives. I say this, Honorable Speaker, with a lot of heaviness in my heart, because on Saturday, 15th, at 10 a.m., 2 bodies were found in a plantation, that is a sugarcane plantation, in Soliat ward of Kericho County. The bodies of Victor Kipkoech, an 18-year-old student, a Form 4 student, and Patricia Chepkoech, Form 3, a Form 3 student. Now, these bodies were found having been killed by, and can I say known, because at least 3 people or 4 people have been arrested. So looking at this, Honorable Speaker, it is so painful that a student who is to sit for exam is no more. That is, if they had a relationship or not, here, we only know that they were killed. And therefore, when we talk of minors being killed by individuals known or unknown to them, such incidences will also traumatize the students in schools, not to forget also the cases of unrest in our schools. The incidents of fire that goes around in our schools. All this tells us that counseling services are needed like yesterday. And therefore, a national policy framework should be provided. It should actually be provided, and trained personnel in schools should actually be part of the people we have. Honorable Speaker, this can only happen when resources are allocated. Adequate resources are allocated to the counseling departments and counseling services in schools. Honorable Speaker, some schools don't even have maybe a room or an office for a counselor. So that, and that office should be far away or in a place that is conducive for the students to seek the services. But if it is everywhere, if it is located in a place where everybody can see, then these students may not even seek the counseling services. So I really support and say that our students need support. Parents, on the other hand, need support. I'm saying this because some of the parents are not in a position to counsel, and they actually need support from maybe trained personnel. Honorable Speaker, we also realize that the many school unrest and emotional distress and even poor academic performance will cause our students to be traumatized, to be stressed, and some of our parents, because they do not understand, will always make noise to our children, and when that one happens, they can even commit suicide. I already have a case, Honorable Speaker. Last week still, a student was buried because the father actually complained and made noise to this student saying that you are not performing well, you are doing this and this. So the child felt like, I don't have any other option, so he killed himself, which is another loss to us. So in this case, Honorable Speaker, I feel we need to have these services mandatory. However, Honorable Speaker, I want to also insist that as a House, we support this motion, and I would ask Honorable Rehab to even move this one from being just a motion. If we can have it in a way as a bill, it will help us to sort out these issues, Honorable Speaker. So indeed, I support, and I feel that the teachers will appreciate this, the community will appreciate the same. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and once more, I support.
Thank you very much, Member for Kericho County. The Honorable Rindikiri Mugambi, Member for Buri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise to support this motion. Madam Speaker, as a country, it's time to address the most basic issues that cause the population of this country to grow from infancy. Madam Speaker, why do I say this? Our children grow to become adults. We are leaving this country to them. We must start asking ourselves, what kind of quality of people are we leaving behind? Madam Speaker, schools is the factory for generating the strong population of any nation. So when we abandon our children at that age, it becomes a very serious issue in the future. Many of us who are seated here are beneficiaries of the traditional upbringing. We were also beneficiaries of when the schools were owned by the community, not the parents and the teachers. Madam Speaker, we are beneficiaries of strong religious background, upbringing. Madam Speaker, we are beneficiaries of a system of education that was emphasizing patriotism, emphasizing professional growth, emphasizing how to become successful in the future. Madam Speaker, we are now in an era where the parents are absent from home. Where do our children get advice? And I want to congratulate our mothers, because when the fathers have disappeared, mothers have always been there. Congratulations, our mothers. When you go to school meetings, you find mothers. Madam Speaker, you go to schools, you find it's the grandparents who are taking care of our children. Now, that kind of a kid, my honorable members, should be treated in a very special way. What am I saying, Madam Speaker? This motion is trying to fill a gap that needs to be addressed, that there is a problem. There is a serious problem, Madam Speaker. Suicide, cases of suicide, cases of school unrest, cases of school dropout, either for pregnancy or even just dissertation, cases of early marriages, cases of even where we have seen some young people involved in crimes, drug abuse, stealing, etc. Now, if counseling is going to help, then we need to support it. And I support it, Madam Speaker, because the children have been left to the parents, and some of them are absent, those parents. Counseling is very important because, you know, our Constitution, Madam Speaker, created a serious gap. It gave our children a lot of rights. Even basic discipline has now vanished because the parents, the teachers, the community is feeling that if you touch a kid, the Constitution says this is what is going to happen. We are dealing with an environment that is not very good, Madam Speaker. This element of private schools versus public schools is another issue, Madam Speaker. Now, we have to create a community of patriotic Kenyans where respect is a key factor, Madam Speaker. There is war everywhere, in TVs, political rallies. We have left our children wondering, which do we follow? Madam Speaker, we need to promote our children to become very good citizens. Madam Speaker, this is one very important motion that really we need to support. If we are really to rescue the future generation of this country, Madam Speaker. This issue of Gen Z uprising could be as a result of failure of modeling our children to become patriotic. That they see everything through politics. Is the high time we start now addressing how these kids will change their behavior. Causes of discipline, issues of emotional well-being of our children. How do we deal with the stress among our children? Anxiety. Family problems are too much. All these members of parliament, almost every day, they are dealing with an issue related to family conflict. The churches are dealing with issues of family conflict every week. Madam Speaker, if you look some areas, there is poor performance. How do we address on how to improve academic performance in schools, some schools? How? If you today, and I had a very important case, Madam Speaker, and I want you to hear this. I have an orphan who scored A-, and her desire was to go to do medicine and surgery. But now, she cannot be admitted because limited spaces in the universities for medicine and surgery. The kid is now being forced to go and do chemistry at the university. This is a career person, this is a kid who really want to make medicine and surgery a career. But the society and the government does not give her an opportunity because of limited space. This kid, I'm sure, will be stressed up as she grows up. Madam Speaker, we'll have to really guide our children against exploitation. And some of them, really, they are being taken advantage of because of poverty. It is a very serious issue, Madam Speaker. Poverty has become a very serious issue, so that now our children, some of them are being exploited, either boys or girls. Sexual exploitation. There is no money. So we have to be close to these children. We have to start teaching them on how to survive. We have to guide them on how to work together as a community. Madam Speaker, vulnerable and poor children is a concern to all of us. So when you see unless honour members, it is not because these children don't know or they don't belong. It's because of absence of something. So, Madam Speaker, this point, I would like to challenge the Minister of Education and the TSC, Madam Speaker. They need to take the first read. They should not wait until members of parliament comes up with a motion or a bill to make it mandatory for counseling. La Mukami is coming up because the Ministry of Education has failed to address the issue. Morogana has come up because TSC has failed to address this matter. Mr. Speaker, the failures of the society, the absence of the parent, these are issues that need to be addressed by this government and by us, all of us. So, Madam Speaker, let me say, it has come the right time, and we really need to be careful. What are we leaving behind? I fear for our children. I fear for the next generation. Now that we have this opportunity of bringing change, and I want to thank the government for being change manager of the day. The broad-based government, because these are some of the things that it is addressing. I really want to support His Excellency the President for ensuring now quality assurance are back to primary schools.
Thank you very much, Member for Buuri, for that eloquent presentation. The Honorable Mark Nyamita Ogola, Member for Uriri.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I also rise to support this motion by my colleague, Honorable Rahab Mukami. Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, we are in very new times. Our children are exposed to a lot of information way at a young age. When we were growing up, the best you could do, either you would read a newspaper or you would read books during that time. But we are growing up, our children are growing up in the internet age, whereby exposure to things that some of us only got to know when we were adults, they're getting to know it at the age of 4. There are challenges in our homes, Madam Speaker. Parents are having, Madam Speaker, there's a bit of noise here from the member from Manyata.
Just ignore him and continue.
Madam Speaker, in our homes, many parents have abandoned the responsibility of guiding our children into what exactly they need to do. And they have sent these children to schools to be able to, they have actually left the children in the hands of the teachers. What are we ending up with? We are ending up with children who sometimes, because of the bad behavior of people outside, you see people demonstrating, students demonstrating even over small things in school. Madam Speaker, sometimes the young people, our children, want someone away from their parents who they want to confide in. Even your own children sometimes don't want to disclose certain things that they're going through. And that space must be created elsewhere. And the place where they are is actually the school. So when we speak about guidance and counseling in school, Madam Speaker, it is a very timely thing that needs to happen. But it's just not every other teacher is going to be providing guidance and counseling. I think that I would urge that in each and every school, there needs to be a designated person who can be able to do this guidance and counseling. And if that training is missing, then those people should be adequately trained so that they're able to guide and counsel our children in schools. We have seen students burning their dormitories, burning their books, demonstrating against their teachers. We are also growing up today, the level of punishment that can be meted out on students and pupils in school is actually very limited. So teachers, even when students do the wrong thing, they only talk to them, or sometimes they just let them be for whatever it is. So if we introduce a mandatory guidance and counseling right from the young age until they actually finish school is going to be. When you speak about career, many students, especially in this era of CBE, they do not know where they want to go. 844 was a bit predictable. That, if you get these grades, then you will be able to do one or the other course. But today, with the CBE curriculum, Madam Speaker, many students might end up misplacing themselves in terms of career. And therefore, during guidance and counseling, it will enable teachers to understand the strengths and the weaknesses of the children. They will be able to guide them on exactly what they need to pursue in their career. Madam Speaker, we are likely also to face another challenge. Most of our schools, because of the different pathways under this new curriculum, students or pupils will find themselves in a school that is pursuing a different pathway. And sometimes that particular pathway does not match their strength or their area of interest. So therefore, guidance and counseling needs to happen so that they know whether they need to change the school or whether they need to align accordingly. I do not want to speak much, Madam Speaker, but I want to congratulate my colleague member who has brought this very timely intervention, and that I urge my colleagues that this is something that really needs to be supported so that when the students open, this is a mandatory thing, and we will see a lot of improvement. Before, when we were in school, there used to be civic education. Civic education was telling us even on issues of patriotism and all those sort of things. Today, it is not as much, and it was mandatory even when we were in primary school. Guidance and counseling will also teach our students on how to be patriotic. It will teach our children on how to respect their parents and how to respect their leaders and how to carry out themselves going forward, so that they don't copy every other thing that they see out there in the internet. With those very few remarks, Madam Speaker, I beg to support this, and I wish all my colleagues that they would also support this so that it can go through. Thank you, Madam.
Thank you, Honorable Nyamita. Member for Lamu East, Honorable Rueda Obo, Captain.
Asante Bispika kunipatia nami nafasi nichangie kwenye hoja ya kuimarisha huduma za uongozi na ushauri na saha shuleni. Bispika, wanafunzi hukumbana na changamoto mbalimbali za masomo, mahusiano, familia na maisha kwa jumla. Katika changamoto hizi wakikumbana nazo, hii njia ambayo itatumika ya nasaha shuleni itasaidia pakubwa sana. kwa sababu hata yale matatizo ya nyumbani saa nyingine wanafunzi wanayachukua paka kwenye mashule, ambao si sawa kufanya hivyo. Hata wazazi saa nyingine wanachangia zile stress zao au mambo yao ya kinyumbani, wakaonesha mwanafunzi akatoka nayo kwa nyumba akaenda nayo akiwa hana raha kwa shule. So nasaha hizi zitasaidia sana kwa wanafunzi. Speaker, ushauri na nasaha huwasaidia wanafunzi kufanya maamuzi sahihi na kujenga tabia njema. Na tunajua tabia njema kwa shule ndio matokeo mazuri. So hii ikifanyika na ifanyike kisawasawa, sio sisi hapa kufanya tu hii hoja kwa hapa. Manake nakumbuka paka pia bunge lililopita ilikuwa kwa hoja kama hii na sijui ilifikia wapi. So naomba hili lichukuliwe kwa ile committee ya implementation, ihakikishe haya mambo yamefanyika. Haya ushauri tunaotoa iwe sio tu kuzungumza, ihakikishwe yametumika. Speaker, nasaha hupunguza utovu wa nidhamu, matumizi ya dawa za kulevya na migogoro miongoni mwa wanafunzi. Speaker, katika mashule zetu mambo mengi, changamoto nyingi zimetokea za utovu wa usalama, na saa nyingine pia huwa tu ni katika ile umri wao. Sasa kama hawapati nasaha katika umri ule ambao wako nao, saa nyingine huleta matatizo mengi kwenye mashule. Pia nasaha husaidia wanafunzi kuelewa vipaji vyao, pia husaidia kuchagua taaluma zinazofaa. Wakipewa nasaha pale, ikiwa kuna mtu wa kuwasaidia, sio walimu peke yake, mipangilio mizuri itawasaidia hata wanafunzi kufanya uamuzi bora na watafika mbali zaidi. Sio mtu ajichagulie tu bila kuelewa kitu anachotaka kufanya, kisha akifika mbele ashafika, sasa potezea mzazi pesa zake na time pia yake ashapoteza, anabadilika na kuwa hataki lile ambalo analisoma kwa sababu hakusaidiwa kufanya uamuzi mzuri. Speaker, nasaha za katika shule pia husaidia wanafunzi kuelewa changamoto zao na kupata msaada unaotakikana. Kama mwanafunzi ana matatizo fulani, akipata hizi nasaha ataweza kuelewa zile changamoto zake yeye mwenyewe. Saa nyingine hawezi kujielewa paka waelezwe. Akisha kujitambua, akisha kuelewa, anaweza kupata msaada unaostahili. Kwa mfano, saa nyingine utokea mwanafunzi ajui na hizi ugonjwa ukao umefika mapema, pengine akapata magonjwa. Mwanafunzi yule akakuwa ana mashida mingi kwa shule, kumbe ana matatizo ya kiafya. Na akipata nasaha kuelezwa kama haya mambo ni kawaida, akipata nasaha mzuri, ule mwanafunzi atapata kujielewa na atapata kwenda kupata matibabu mapema na ataweza kuendelea kwa maisha yake. Saa nyingine pia mwanafunzi aweza kuwa amepata pengine mimba ya mapema. Akipata ile mimba ya mapema ambazo hata hatuzitaki zile mimba za mapema, lakini ikisha kutokea hakuna haja kufanya madhambi makubwa zaidi kwenda kutoa mtoto au kwenda kujiua. Akipata nasaha anaweza kujua namna ya kwenda na anaweza kupata msaada akasaidika. Speaker, mimi nataka nimpongeze sana Mheshimiwa Rahab Mukami kuleta hii hoja. Ni hoja mzuri sana na kaunti ya Nyeri haikukosea kumleta hapa na wamlete tena na tena, na saa nyingine nataka tumuone akiwa governor huko. Asante Mheshimiwa. Thank you, Speaker.
Asante Mheshimiwa Maina Mathenge, mbunge wa Nyeri Town.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to support this motion on mandatory counseling, guidance and counseling in our schools. Madam Speaker, currently there exists some rudimentary form of guidance and counseling. It is rudimentary, Madam Speaker, because the teacher acts as a double agent. And the teacher is not fully skilled and equipped to provide the kind of counseling and guidance that is required for the demands of education institutions today. Madam Speaker, ideally, we are speaking about a dedicated psychological counselor who has no teaching burden or teaching work. And this will transform the guidance and the counseling in our schools in two major ways. Number one, it will enhance trust between the students and the counselor, because the counselor, in accessing the information from the student, will strictly be guided by the confidentiality of clinical guidelines. Number two, it will take away the stigma that is associated with the current setup, where if a student is referred to the guidance and counseling teacher, it is seen as a stigma because the student has certain challenges. It therefore behoves that the program should be well structured in three ways. Number one, we should have a universal program where all students in an institution undergo preventive guidance and counseling. The second one is a slightly more intensive program for students at risk. And thirdly, a highly intensive, including institutionalized program for those who already have cognitive behavior disorders. And that would include the inclusion of psychiatrists in the program. Madam Speaker, we do not need to train teachers, because the guidance and counseling profession is very well entrenched in this country. We have up to between 7,000 and 9,000 qualified, registered and licensed psychological counselors in this country with diplomas, degrees, and masters. We have 3 professional associations in that sector. And we have an act of parliament with a guidance and with a psychological counselors board. And therefore, what we need is to create a new, completely independent profession within the education sector to handle this highly technical area and highly sensitive area, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the institution of this program will transform academic excellence, improve retention, reduce the kind of losses that we have seen in our schools associated with student riots, from damaged dormitories, damaged laboratories, damaged libraries, loss of lives that we have seen. And that will translate to a huge financial savings for the scarce resources we dedicate in the education sector. It will also result in savings by families that suffer a lot of losses because of truancy and loss of teaching time when students are out of school. Madam Speaker, we made it a law in this country to ban corporal punishment in our education institutions. The institution of this program will be a very good replacement for corporal punishment. We banned corporal punishment, but we had no way of replacing the role of corporal punishment in the education sector. And I agree, corporal punishment was...
Order. There is a very serious Kamukunchi at the back on my left. The consultations are not as high, but when it comes to the laughter, Honorable Babu Owino, it is so loud that sounds like it is in a Linda Kura rally. So, Honorable Babu Owino, please continue with your consultations, but make sure that the laughter is not that loud, so that you do not disturb the member for Nyeri town.
Honorable Babu Owino, do not invite me into your rally. Honorable Speaker, I was saying that the ban on corporal punishment would be adequately replaced by this program. It therefore means that Parliament will also then have to vote the resources necessary to resource and convert the infrastructure in schools into a suitable clinical counseling centers, and also provide money for the salaries and remuneration of the councillors. Madam Speaker, when we look at the loss of life that has occurred in our schools, and Nyeri has suffered. There was loss of life some time back at the Nyeri High School. Then the Hill Academy in Kieni. Changuli, I think in Ukambani. The list is endless. And Madam Speaker, when we bear in mind that we have no compensation for loss of life, and no parent should ever have to suffer burying their child because they sent them to an education institution, then, Honorable Mukami, it is paramount, it is of utmost importance that actually you reshape this motion into an amendment of the Education Act, which we can fast track even as we have other businesses in this house, to entrench this very noble idea, so that we do not leave it to the whims of the Ministry of Education, and there are many excuses about scarcity of resources. But most importantly, it will also give this house an entry into the budgeting process to provide resources to support our parents and our families. Our schools are having a crisis from the triple threat, drug abuse, early teenage pregnancies, indiscipline, things that the ordinary teacher was never trained to handle as a teacher in an instruction classroom. Madam Speaker, I support, and thank you for the opportunity to contribute.
Thank you. The Honorable Mishimboko, member for Likoni. And Commissioner.
Asante sana, Bispika. Bispika, hata mimi nasimama kuunga hoja hii ambayo inazungumzia kuhakikisha mipango ya lazima ya kuhusiana na mwongozo na ushauri au nasaha kwa wanafunzi wetu katika shule zetu za msingi na shule zetu za upili. Nataka nizungumzie masuala haya, Mheshimiwa Bispika, tumeyazungumzia sana hata katika bunge mbili za nyuma zilizopita. Lakini nashukuru sana ya kwamba hoja hii imezungumzia kwamba lazima tuhakikishe kuwa kutakuwa na sera za kitaifa, kuhakikisha ya kwamba tumeweza kuandika hawa walimu ambao watakuwa ni washauri wa kupatiana mwongozo kwa wanafunzi wetu, na pia kuhakikisha ya kwamba tumeweza kuweka fedha ambazo zitahakikisha ya kwamba mipango hii ambayo tutaipanga itaweza kudhibitika na ni mipango ambayo itakuwa ni mipango endelevu. Hilo ni jambo la msingi sana. Na kwamba pia tutahakikisha ya kwamba tunaweka mipango ya kuunganisha elimu ya mambo ya kiafya katika yale masomo ambayo tunafundisha katika shule zetu. Tunajiuliza ya kwamba kwa nini tuwe na mwongozo na ushauri? Wanafunzi wengi sasa hivi katika shule zetu tunaona wanakumbwa na changamoto nyingi sana. Kuna changamoto za madawa ya kulevya yameweza kuingia katika mashule yetu na watoto wetu wakawa wanatumia madawa yale. Tunaona ya kwamba pia mitandao imechangia katika ushawishi. Ina ushawishi mzuri na pia una ushawishi ambao ni mbaya katika maisha ya mwanafunzi katika mambo yake ya kielimu. Vile vile tunaona pia tuna changamoto ya kijamii. Jamii zetu nyingi utapata ndoa nyingi zimevunjika, hivyo basi watoto wanabaki na mzazi mmoja, pengine wanabaki na mama ama pengine wanabaki na baba. Na inakuwa ni changamoto kubwa sana, wanafunzi wanapitia kule majumbani ambapo hawawezi kuzungumza pengine wakiwa shule, lakini wanahitaji ushauri. Vile vile pia tunaona ya kwamba kuna changamoto ya kiuchumi. Watoto pia wengine wamezaliwa katika hali ya umaskini sana, hivyo basi kuwapatia msongamano wa mawazo na kuwapatia changamoto sana katika elimu zao. Je, tunajiuliza katika mambo ya mwongozo na ushauri yanasaidia nini katika wanafunzi wetu? Tunaona kwamba hata katika kuchagua masomo yale ambao wataendelea nao lazima wapate ushauri na mwongozo. Iwapo utataka taaluma fulani kule mbele baada ya masomo, lazima upate mwongozo. Je, ni masomo gani utatia bidii na ni masomo gani utapatia kipao mbele ili uweze kufikia shabaha yako? Vile vile pia tunaweza kusema ya kwamba itakupatia maamuzi sahihi wakati utakuwa umepata mwongozo na ushauri wa kufaa. Vile vile mwanafunzi akiwa na msongamano wa mawazo ambao imefikia mpaka ile kwa Kiingereza tunasema stress ama tunaita Kiingereza depression, yani msongamano wa mawazo ambao unaleta itilafu ya kiakili. Misongamano wa mawazo kama hino uletea paka watoto kujitoa uhai ama kutaka kujitoa uhai, na kuletea pia kuweza kupigana, kuweza kuleta uhasama katika zile shule. Hivyo basi lazima tuweze kupata ushauri. Vile vile pia katika mambo ya kuacha madawa ya kulevya, lazima watoto hawa tuwapatie mwongozo na tuwapatie ushauri, kwa sababu si rahisi iwapo mtoto ameingilia madawa ya kulevya na amekuwa amemuingia sana katika mwili wake na katika damu. Lazima awe anapata ushauri na zile dawa ambazo atakuwa anatumia, na huko anashauriwa kwa nini inafaa aweze kuacha mawazo kama yale. Tumeona matukio mingi sana. Juzi tuliona shule moja na tukaona wanafunzi na walimu wakipigana mawe. Walimu wamejificha pale wanarusha mawe na wanafunzi nao wanarusha mawe. Taswira kama hizi ni taswira mbaya sana katika jamii yetu na katika taifa letu. Na taswira kama hii haiwezi kuondoka kama hatutakuwa na ushauri na kupeana nasaha kwa wanafunzi wetu, na hata walimu pia waweze kupata nasaha, ndiposa kuwe na uwezo mzuri ama ushirikiano mzuri ya mwanafunzi na mwalimu, na pia kuwe na ushirikiano mzuri ya mwanafunzi na mzazi. Na yote haya yanatokana na kuweza kupatiana nasaha kama inavyostahili. Pia vile vile nataka nizungumzie swala ambazo ni la kuongeza ujasiri. Mwanafunzi lazima awe na ujasiri katika mambo ya kielimu. Na je, atapata vipi ujasiri? Ujasiri pia unakuja na kupatiwa mwongozo na kupatiwa ushauri na kupatiwa mifano na kuelezewa wale waliokuwa kabla nyinyi hamjafika walikuwa vipi na walifanya vipi mpaka wakaweza kutimiza malengo yao. Kwa hivyo jambo kama hili ni jambo muhimu sana. Kujua hisia. Vipi tutajua hisia za wanafunzi? Wanafunzi ni wengi na kila mwanafunzi ana tabia zake. Na kila mwanafunzi huwa ana hisia ya jambo fulani. Lakini tukiwa na ushauri, iwapo utamuita mwanafunzi ukae naye na umshauri, utajua hisia zake ziko wapi. Hata ikiwa wamekuwa na hisia mbaya, hisia nzito ama kupanga matukio mabaya, lakini kukiwa na mambo ya ushauri, utaweza kujua ya kwamba hapa mambo hayako sawa na hapa kunaweza kuwa na hatari. Hivyo basi lazima tuweze kutoa ushauri na mwongozo. Kuepuka vishawishi. Kuna vishawishi vingi sana vibaya ambavyo sasa hivi vinapatiwa wanafunzi wetu. Vishawishi vya mambo mabaya, hata haya mambo ya ambayo tunazungumzia, mambo ya masago, poleni sana, mambo ya ushoga, ni mambo ambayo yanatokea na vishawishi vingi sana kupitia mitandao, kupitia marafiki na kupitia mambo mengi sana, kwa sababu karne tulionayo ni karne tata sana. Ni karne ambayo inaleta mambo mengi sana. Bila mwongozo na ushauri, basi kizazi chetu kichanga kitaweza kupotea sana na tutakuwa tunapoteza taifa letu la Kenya. Pia tunataka kutoa ushauri na mwongozo ili kuleta uadilifu na kuweza kumweka mtu ya kwamba awe nafsi yake inakuwa na uadilifu. Lazima kuwe na ushauri, na ushauri hauwezi kuwa mpaka kuwe na mwongozo. Na wakati tunazungumzia mambo ya ushauri na mwongozo, lazima tuweke mikakati ya kuhakikisha kwamba jambo hili litafanyika na litafana na litakuwa endelevu. Tumekuwa tukizungumzia haya maneno mengi sana na matukio mengi sana na visa vingi sana. Shule leo zinachomwa. Kwa nini shule zichomwe? Kwa nini wanafunzi wachome wenzao? Kwa nini ifikie kiwango paka mwanafunzi aweze kwenda kuwasha moto, bweni zichomeke na wanafunzi waweze kuchomeka? Ni ukosefu wa ushauri. Lakini iwapo kuna ushauri, kwa sababu wajua watoto vitu vidogo sana vinawapatia hisia kali sana. Unaona kwamba mwalimu labda alisema leteni pesa, tutawapeleka katika kutembea, pengine kuangalia mbuga za wanyama. alafu pengine ile tarehe ya kwenda imekosekana, wamesema atwendi mwezi huu, tutakwenda mwezi ujao. Hiyo inaweza kuleta hisia kali na watoto pale pale wakaanza hasira na wakachoma shule. Lakini tukiwa na washauri, wanaweza kuwaketisha na washauri kwa njia ya nasaha, ili waweze kuona kwa nini hatukwenda sasa na tutakwenda wakati mwingine. Kwa hivyo tutaweza kuepuka hasara nyingi sana ambazo zinatokea katika mashule yetu, hasara nyingi ambazo zinatokea majumbani mwetu kupitia hawa wanafunzi wetu ambao sisi tunao kule majumbani. Kwa hivyo Bi Speaker, mimi nataka niseme ya kwamba ilmu ya ushauri na ilmu ya mwongozo, mbali ya kuwa tunazungumzia mambo ya shule hivi sasa, lakini tukiangalia hata taasisi zetu katika serikali, kama taasisi ya jeshi ambao ni walinzi wetu wakubwa kulinda taifa letu, wanapitia changamoto nyingi sana. Polisi wetu wanapitia changamoto nyingi sana, ambapo taasisi hizi zote zinahitaji ushauri ili tuweze kuepuka yale mambo mengi. Unasikia maskari wamepigana marisasi, unasikia askari amempiga bibi yake risasi, ama askari mwanamke amempiga risasi mume wake, na matukio mingi sana yale ambayo yanatokea. Hata unasikia askari amekuwa kwa barabara, ameanza kurusha risasi tu, amepiga risasi tu kiolela. Kwa hivyo hili swala la mwongozo na ushauri ni swala ambalo ni kubwa sana. Katika mashule tunaona ile kwa Kiingereza tunasema bullying. Na hii bullying hata mimi pia ilinipata wakati nikiwa shule ya upili. Unapata mnaambiwa nyinyi mmekuja sasa, nyinyi ni wachanga, hamujui mambo na lazima muonyeshwe mambo, mipango ndio muweze kukazana. Katika njia zile mnafanyiwa maonevu mengi, mnadhilalishwa, na watoto wengine roho zao ni ndogo, wakifanyiwa mambo kama yale wanaona uonevu mwingi sana, wanakuwa na hisia na wanaweza kufanya jambo baya kama kujitoa uhai ama kama kufanya kitu chochote kingine kibaya. Kwa hivyo kukiwa na wale washauri, najua hivi sasa tuna wale ambao tunawaita kwa Kiingereza matron, ambao wako kule katika bweni zetu za zile shule za bweni, lakini wale hawatoshi. Na yule utapata ya kwamba bweni zima ni mmoja peke yake. Mmoja hawezi kufanya ushauri na mwongozo kwa wanafunzi wote. Kwa hivyo tuhakikishe tuna washauri wa kutosha, tuhakikishe kuna fedha za kuweza kukimu hawa washauri walioko, tuhakikishe ya kwamba tumeweka miundo misingi ya kuhakikisha kwamba jambo hili litafanikisha na litakuwa endelevu, na si kwa mashule peke yake, lakini kwa taasisi zetu zote za sekta zetu za kiserikali na hata zile za kibinafsi. Hata kule makazini kwetu tunakofanya kazi, kuna mambo mengi sana. Watu wanatoka nyumbani, mtu unakuja kazini ukiwa na hamasa, ukiwa na tafash nyingi sana, umetoka nazo kule nyumbani, umekosana na mke wako, umekosana na mume wako, yote yale unapeleka katika pale unapofanya kazi, na kunakuwa na msongamano na kunakuwa na vita. Kwa hivyo tunasema tunashukuru sana Bi Rahab kwa sababu ya kuleta hoja hii. Ni hoja asante sana Bi Speaker.
Asante Mheshimiwa Mishi. Mheshimiwa Amina Mnyazi, mbunge wa Malindi.
Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika. Na nasimama hapa Mheshimiwa Spika kuunga mswada wenye ambao umeletwa hapa mbele ya nyumba hii na dadangu Rahab, Mheshimiwa Rahab. Na Mheshimiwa Spika, ninaunga mswada huu mkono kwa sababu zifuatazo. Mheshimiwa Spika, maisha yetu ya sasa ambao tunaishi sisi si kama yale maisha yenye ambao wazazi wetu wameweza kuyapitia, wala si kama yale maisha ambayo mababu zetu na manyanya zetu yenye ambao wameweza kuyapitia. Mheshimiwa Spika, wanafunzi wa saizi, watoto wa saizi wanapitia changamoto zingine kali ambazo sisi hatujaweza kuzipitia wakati sisi tukiwa watoto. Watoto wetu sisi ndo tunasema ni viongozi wetu wa kesho. Na mimi naunga mkono mswada Mheshimiwa Spika kwa sababu katika hawa viongozi wetu wa kesho lazima wawe na miundo misingi bora. Misingi yao ya maisha yao lazima tuwe tumeweka sawa sawa, na katika vitu venye ambavyo tunaweza tukasaidia hawa viongozi wetu wa kesho ni kuhakikisha ya kwamba katika mashule yetu tumeweza kuweka mwongozo na ushauri thabiti ili iweze kuwasaidia na maisha yao. Mheshimiwa Spika, ukweli wa maneno ni kwamba sisi kama wazazi tunaofanya kazi, tunaotoka nje pale kwenda kuhustle, kuanzia saa 2 za asubuhi mpaka jioni, sisi hatukai na watoto wetu. Watoto wetu, ukweli wa maneno Mheshimiwa Spika, ni kwamba wanakaa katika mashule masaa mengi ya maisha yao ya utotoni. Na ndio maana sisi Waswahili tunasema samaki mkunje angali mbichi. Ni wakati ule watoto wakiwa wadogo ndipo ambapo tunapaswa kuwapatia ushauri na mwongozo mwafaka ili kuweza kuwasaidia katika maisha yao. Mheshimiwa Spika, shule zetu zimelemewa, walimu wetu wamelemewa, watoto wetu wanaangamia, na si ati kwamba kwa sababu hawataki kusoma, bali wanapitia masaibu mazito ya kisaikolojia bila usaidizi wowote wa kitaalamu. Mheshimiwa Spika, tunahitaji walimu ambao watakao kuajiriwa na TSC, ambayo kazi yao asubuhi hadi jioni itakuwa ni kusikiliza, kulinda na kuwaponya watoto wetu kisaikolojia. Tunashukuru ile kazi ambao walimu wetu wanafanya saizi, lakini hatuwezi kuwapatia walimu wetu mzigo mwingine ya kuweza kufanya masuala ya mwongozo na ushauri. Wacha walimu wale ambao ni wa TSC waweze kufanya kazi yao ya kufundisha hawa watoto, na tuweze kuleta experts, tuweze kuleta wataalamu ambao wanaielewa hii kazi. Mheshimiwa Spika, unajua mtu mwenye ambaye anafanya hii kazi kuna vipengele ambavyo lazima ameweza kuvifikia. Lazima awe ni mtu ambaye ni mcheshi, lazima awe ni mtu ambaye yuko friendly, lazima ni mtu ambaye anaelewa saikolojia ya watoto, mtu ambaye anaweza kutangamana na wao, na mtu mwenye ambaye watoto watakuwa kwa karibu na wako na urahisi wa kuzungumza na kufunguka yale matatizo ambao wao wanayapitia. Hawa walimu wetu saizi, Mheshimiwa Spika, nikizungumza kuhusu masuala ya Malindi na Kilifi County, kuna 15.9 ya wanafunzi wetu wanaougua ugonjwa wa msongo wa mawazo ambao kwa kizungu inaitwa depression. Mheshimiwa Spika, kuna 10.6 ambao wanaishi na kiwewe na wasiwasi uliopitiliza. Kwa kizungu hiyo inaitwa anxiety. Mheshimiwa Spika, pia vile vile inasikitisha na inatisha zaidi kusema ya kwamba 10% ya wanafunzi pale Malindi na ndani ya Kilifi County, 40.2 ya wasichana wetu balehe wamewahi kufikiria na kujaribu kujitoa uhai. Mheshimiwa Spika, nikikumbuka vizuri sana, kuanzia mwaka jana mpaka dakika hii, Mheshimiwa Spika, tumeweza kuzika zaidi ya watu 8 ndani ya Malindi constituency ambao wameweza kujitoa uhai kwa sababu ya msongo wa mawazo. Na katika hao watu 8, Mheshimiwa Spika, mmoja wao alikuwa ni mwanafunzi ambaye alikuwa bado anaendelea na masomo yake na aliweza kujitoa uhai kwa sababu ya shida kama hizi. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, pia vile vile ni lazima watu kama hawa waweze kupata, sisi wazazi tuweze kufanya jukumu letu, walimu waweze kufanya jukumu lao, lakini tukiweka mtu kama hivi, mtaalamu kama huyu mwenye ambaye atakuwa anawasaidia kwa mwongozo na ushauri, haya matatizo ya hawa wenye ambao wako na ugonjwa wa mawazo, wenye ambao wako na wasiwasi, wenye ambao wamejifikiria kujiua, angalau watapata nafasi ya kuweza kuzungumza na kuweza kufunguka, na 10% kubwa wataweza pia vile vile kusaidika. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, kule ndani ya Malindi na Kilifi County pia vile vile inasikitisha kusema ya kwamba 12% ya wasichana wenye umri ya miaka 15 hadi 19 wameweza kupata ujauzito na tayari na kina mama. Mheshimiwa Spika, niko na imani ya kwamba tukipata wataalamu kama hawa ambao wataweza kuinteract na kujadiliana na hawa watoto, idadi ya ile 12.5 itakwenda kupungua. Mheshimiwa Spika, tunataka tujue ni sababu gani watoto wanapata mimba za mapema. Mheshimiwa Spika, tunataka mtu mwenye ambaye anaweza kufungukiwa, ambaye anaweza kufanya urafiki na hawa watoto, ili kuhakikisha ya kwamba haya matatizo ya mimba za mapema tumeweza kuzisawazisha. Mheshimiwa Spika, pia vile vile masuala ya pwani, tuko na matatizo ya madawa ya kulevya. Mheshimiwa Spika, ambazo takwimu zinaonesha ya kwamba 84% ya watumiaji madawa ya kulevya katika ukanda wetu wameingizwa kwenye matumizi ya bangi na vile vile mogokaa na miraa. Uraibu kama huu unaanza mashuleni. Mheshimiwa Spika, na ndio maana tunaona umuhimu wa jambo kama hili kulazimishwa kuwekwa katika orodha yetu na masomo yetu ya shule ili hawa watoto waweze kusaidika. Mheshimiwa Spika, Mheshimiwa Spika, ijapokuwa tunaunga mkono huu mswada ya kwamba tuweze kupata mtaalamu atakaye kusaidia wanafunzi wetu pale shule, haimaanishi ya kwamba jukumu pia sisi kama wazazi tuliweze kulisahau. Mheshimiwa Spika, watoto ni wetu sisi, tunawazaa sisi, tunawalea sisi. Hii kama program itakuwa inaendelea, Mheshimiwa Spika, nataka nitoe wito wangu kwa wazazi wa Kenya, wazazi wenzangu, kuambia ya kwamba jukumu la mtoto la kwanza ni lako wewe mzazi. Wazazi tuweze kujukumika na tuweze kukubali majukumu yetu, tukae na watoto wetu, tuwe tunazungumza nao vizuri, na sisi kama serikali tuweze kuingililia kati, tuweze kuweka wataalamu wenye ambao wataweza kuwasaidia hawa watoto wetu na masuala ya mwongozo na ushauri. Ushauri wangu ni kwamba wabunge wenzangu tuweze kuungana, tuweze kupitisha huu mswada, TSC waweze kufanya hayo maneno, tuweze kuweka hawa walimu ili tuweze kusaidia wanafunzi wetu. Asante sana Mheshimiwa Spika.
Asante. The Honorable Irene Mayaka, nominated member.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity to also add my voice to this very important motion. Motion that has been sponsored by the Honorable Rehab Mukami. And Honorable Speaker, just to thank Honorable Mukami for bringing this particular motion, because at this particular point, when you look at the different generations that we do have, and Honorable Amina also alluded to the same, we have a generation that is now extremely exposed, not only to social media, but access to different forms of information, whether it's through television, radio, social media, or even the interactions that our children and the younger generation have. Honorable Speaker, this is a generation that has access to a lot of things that are going on, and not only in our country, but across the entire globe. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, it is very important that this particular motion is coming at this particular time, because it is very crucial that we do have in place a proper, mandatory and structured and well-framed guidance and counseling program in all public and private primary and secondary schools. And Honorable Speaker, one of the reasons why I really support this is because when you look at the whole year, in terms of the 12 months of a year, our children spend most of their time within the school environment. They spend most of their time with their teachers. And yes, Honorable Speaker, in as much as we
Honorable
also say...
Ruto, you have a point of order?
Thank you so much, Madam Speaker. Listening to the contributions from members in this floor of the House, appreciating the fact that every member is in support of this particular motion presented by Honorable Rahab Mukami, member of Parliament, Nyeri County. I want to stand under Standing Order number 95, that the mover can be called to reply. Thank you.
Honorable members, I need to put this to test. Honorable members, is it the mood of the House that I call upon the mover to reply? Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. I'll call upon the mover to reply, and I will encourage you to, if you...
Honorable Speaker.
Order, Honorable Mukami. Okay. Thank you. Honorable Mukami, you may go ahead and reply. Thank you.
Honorable Speaker, I would request we allow the honorable member to finish, and I would donate 2 minutes to Ruto, Mudhoni, Janet, and the honorable member, because they've been sitting
I know.
here.
Thank you. I know you have been magnanimous, and we keep learning. Even when I sit on this seat, I also learn. I already missed the opportunity to give a chance to the Honorable Mayaka, so that one is closed. And also on your part, you can only reply. You do not have now the liberty to donate. So please go ahead and reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I want to thank each and every member who have supported this motion. And I want to tell members I've listened keenly. And what I'm going to do next, I'll make sure that I'll make an amendment of the Education Act, and make sure that we reduce this into a bill. And I'm sure the members who really wanted to support this, they will support it. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to reply. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, honorable members. I now put the question. That aware that learners in primary and secondary schools across the country are increasingly exposed to social, psychological, and behavioral challenges, including drug and substance abuse, indiscipline, school unrest, academic underperformance, noting that there has been a disturbing rise in cases of sexual violence against children, including incidents where minors are abused or killed by individuals known to them, including relatives and caregivers, thereby exposing learners to trauma and long-term psychological harm. Further noting that many learners come from homes affected by domestic violence, family inability, economic hardships, and other social pressures that adversely affect their emotional well-being, safety, and concentration in school, concerned that guidance and services in most primary and secondary schools remain informal, inadequately structured, and under-resourced, with no standardized national framework to ensure underperformance, accountability, and effective delivery, appreciating that structured psychological support, life skills training, child protection awareness, and early intervention during formative years are critical in safeguarding learners, strengthening resilience, promoting discipline, and improving academic outcomes. This House therefore resolves that the government, through the Ministry of Education, 1, introduces a mandatory structured and timetable guided guidance and counseling program in all public and primary schools, public and private primary and secondary schools in Kenya. 2, develops and implements a national policy framework providing for recruitment, accreditation, and deployment of professional training school counselors. 3, integrates mental health education, child protection awareness, personal safety training, and life skills development into school curriculum. 4, allocates adequate resources to support counseling services in schools and establishes clear coordination and referral mechanisms between schools, child protection institutions, and relevant government agencies to ensure effective safeguarding of learners. Will as many as have that opinion say aye? Will as many as have a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 12, motion, policy to develop a structured engagement of National Youth Service graduates as security officers in government institutions.
Thank you, honorable members. The Honorable Gertrude Mbeyu is not in the House, so order number 12 is hereby deferred.
Order number 13, motion, formulation of a policy on power subsidies for export-oriented agricultural production.
Thank you, honorable members. The Honorable Gathoni Mushomba is not in, she is not in the House, so order number 13 is also hereby deferred.
Order number 14, motion, streamlining admission, capitation, and infrastructural management in senior schools.
The Honorable Gisairo Clive.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Honorable Speaker, that are aware that the Kenya education sector has faced escalating infrastructure pressures culminating in overstretched facilities, particularly in boarding schools. Concerned that despite the introduction of an online learner placement portal in December 2025 by the Ministry of Education to widen access and expedite transfers among schools, there continues to be inequitable outcomes, disproportionately disadvantaging rural learners who suffer digital exclusion, acknowledging that parental preference for Category 1, commonly known as C1, and Category 2, C2 schools owing to their improved infrastructure, including boarding amenities, causes over-enrollment in C1 and C2 schools, recalling that during the inaugural admission of grade 10 learners into senior schools in January 2026, under the competency-based curriculum, some C1 and C2 schools invariably admitted learners at double or more of their approved capacity, noting that this tendency leaves most Category 3 and Category 4 schools severely under-enrolled, some below their viable enrollment capacity, concerned that the current capitation model based on the number of learners per school is not only misaligned with actual school facilities, but also encourages over-enrollment by some schools in pursuit of higher capitation funding, observing that the resultant overcrowding in C1 and C2 schools has eroded the recommended teacher-to-student ratio of 1:40, fueled teacher burnout, diminished instructional quality, affected individual learner attention, overstretched facilities, and compromised learner safety in cases of emergencies. Now, therefore, this House resolves that the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with other relevant government agencies and stakeholders, recalibrate the education capitation formula to reflect actual infrastructural capacity and ensure that schools receive proportional and equitable capitation so as to incentivize enrollment diversification and achieve equitable distribution of learners across the school's categories. 2, develops and enforces guidelines for capping the number of streams per category of schools at a maximum of 10 for C1 schools, 8 for C2 schools, 5 for C3, and 3 for C4 schools, with each stream not exceeding 40 students, and 3, implements a targeted and accelerated infrastructural upgrade program in C3 and C4 schools, including classrooms, laboratories, ICT hubs, boarding sanitation and amenities, so as to achieve infrastructure standardization across all categories of schools, safeguard the quality of education, and systematically eliminate overcrowding in C1 and C2 schools. Honorable Speaker, I think this House is much aware that cases of fires in schools, including the most recent at Utumishi, these cases make the headlines in this country, but shortly after, the country moves on. We have never bothered as a country to address the root cause of the problems we face in our schools. Honorable Speaker, after the school fires, we had ministry officials saying that part of the reason of our problem is the 100% transition. Honorable Speaker, there is nothing further from the truth, because the number of secondary schools in Kenya can still comfortably absorb and accommodate all the students who transition from the primary level. Honorable Speaker, Kenya today has 9,500 secondary schools. These are split into 204 C1 schools, 692 C2, 1,373 C3 schools, and 7,234 C4 schools. Honorable Speaker, the appetite towards feeling that all students need to go to C1 schools is where our problem begins. If the ministry and the government put an effort, concerted effort to ensure that we improve infrastructure in all our schools in this republic, because the teachers are the same. The teachers have similar qualifications. Then we will avert these problems. The appetite for us having our children in boarding schools separates the parents from the children, and sometimes parents do not know the behavioral change of their very own children. Honorable Speaker, money follows the child in the current capitation system. Some schools have even resorted to exam cheating to be seen to be well-performing and attract students, therefore turning our schools into business centers. A school with 3,000 students, Honorable Speaker, with one football pitch, a dining hall with a capacity of less than 1,000, no basketball court, no swimming pool. All these add to the pressures whereby the child do not have places to do extracurricular activities, which helps them in easing their pressure, the academic pressure of the day-to-day that they get in schools, and pressure from their parents to perform. Honorable Speaker, education is not our business, but we are all aware that some principals in this country have seen an opportunity in their schools. Honorable Speaker, if this motion is adopted and implemented, C1 schools will only be allowed to admit not exceeding 400 students in grade 10. If this is done for 3 consecutive years, a C1 school will not exceed 1,200 students. A C2 schools will not exceed 960, C3 will not exceed 600, and C4 will not exceed 360. Honorable Speaker, this will ensure schools that have 20 students now start getting students, and therefore capitation will follow them. This will mean, therefore, Honorable Speaker, that capitation alone, which as per government policy is 22,000 shillings, C1 schools will be getting a maximum of 244,000, up from the current, where a C1 school with over 2,500 students will be receiving over 26 million, whereas a C4 schools will be receiving 55 million, whereas a C4 school receives 1.3 million. There is no way we'll improve these schools if we do not have students in these schools, because capitation will always follow the child. Honorable Speaker, we now do have a C1 school, a number of them, where the principal runs a budget that is more than 3 constituencies combined. Honorable Speaker, a school with 3,500 students, capitation alone from government will be 77 million. Add to uniforms that they collect around 20,000 per student, that's another 70 million. Remedial classes and other activities that they charge that are never accounted for fully exceeds 52 million. Honorable Speaker, the school fees for a C1 school is normally over 120,000 per child, and this leads to 420 million. And therefore, this school alone should even be having their principals come to committees of parliament to account for the public funds, because this school at some point receives up to a tune of 1 billion in a year. These inequalities, Honorable Speaker, is what has led that even when government officials, we visit some of these schools, we see the magnitude of the school and we say we are giving this school 100 billion. Yet there is a school in most of the constituencies here that doesn't even have a single laboratory. If we have this motion adopted, Honorable Speaker, we are going to have equitable distribution of number of students across the country. We will not have pressures of the children not being attended to due to the sheer numbers of classes. A school having 33 streams in grade 10 alone, totaling 100 streams in a school. A principal trying to manage over 3,500 students means also that the staff room population is big. And therefore, the principal will not only be dealing with students, but also will be handling staff room politics. Honorable Speaker, exams management in some of these schools is also a nightmare and a headache for Kenya National Examination Council. Once a school that has a candidature enrollment of over 1,000 students and with a standard spacing, this is a nightmare for Kenya National Examination Council. And we've severally sat with Kenya National Examination Council, and you do realize most challenges come from these overpopulated schools because their infrastructure is not well suited and designed to handle these numbers during exam periods. Honorable Speaker, when these school fires took place and a number of students were interviewed, a few issues did come up. Number one, most students were saying, we are not being listened to. No one pays attention to us. This is understood because if a class has 50 students and a teacher's workload is more than thrice, the class teacher will never have time to go and interact and get to know what his or her students are up to, what challenges they face, what mental issues they may be having, what problems they may be carrying from home. That lack of individualized attention, Honorable Speaker, is what leads these children to now adapt to groupings and peer pressure that causes easy negative influence on the actions and behaviors of our young children. Honorable Speaker, as we've always said, education is not a competition. Education is aimed at imparting knowledge and preparing young people to fit into the society and be productive citizens in building a nation in their days where they are now adults. Today, Honorable Speaker, most schools have been converted to business enterprise. Most schools are seeing how much cereals can be supplied, how much fees can be collected. So the boards and management of schools do focus on that. Honorable Speaker, if we put a cap on this, we will take education back to what it was supposed to be, where the teacher and school management know their core role is to educate the child. We need to cut the numbers. We need to have a cap that the system at the ministry, if you are category C1, it will lock the moment you hit 400 students in admission. And that will allow the students to be absorbed by other schools. Honorable Speaker, I thank you, and I would like to request Honorable Irene Mayaka to second.
Go ahead, Honorable Irene Mayaka. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for the opportunity. And Honorable Speaker, I'd like to really thank the Honorable Clive Gisairo, who is from my home county of Nyamira County, for this very important motion, which I seek to second. And it's a motion that seeks to streamline admission, capitation, and infrastructure management in senior schools. Honorable Speaker, as has been said by the mover of this particular motion, is that if you look at the different categorization of our schools at the moment, and especially the admissions and intakes, and this was really experienced during the grade 10, where we witnessed some of the national schools took in students way more than the capacity that they actually were allowed. And Honorable Speaker, if we do have a structural way in which we ensure that the different schools in the different categories, whether it's category 1, category C2, C3, or C4, actually are capped in terms of the numbers that they are able to take, then in that way, Honorable Speaker, we'll be able to ensure that the students are actually getting better management in terms of the learning, in terms of safety, in terms of the environment, the learning environment in which they operate under. And Honorable Speaker, even the teacher-student ratio, because it does not really make sense when you have different classes in a stream. The teacher does not even know the names of their students because the students tend to be too many. So there's no that personal relationship between a student and the teacher. The second thing, Honorable Speaker, is about the bed capacity, especially in boarding schools. If it is a school that, say for example, grade 10 is supposed to have 400 students, but they end up being almost 800. So that means that in some instances, you could even have children sharing beds, which, Honorable Speaker, has led to a lot of immoral issues that we are being faced with. And so, Honorable Speaker, this is quite very important because schools sometimes, because a lot of students are passing, and so they tend to not be able to say no to students who have done well in school, despite the fact that they don't have capacity for this. And Honorable Speaker, even the quality of meals that our students are actually getting in schools is affected, because a school that is meant to have 1,000 students, but now has 2,000 students, it means that the quality of food that they get is actually not very good. Honorable Speaker, some of the issues that we've had, the strikes, the burning of schools, are as a result of some of these things, Honorable Speaker. And so it is incumbent upon us as a National Assembly to ensure that we are putting in place, and we are telling the ministry to put guidelines and structures in place that are very specific and that cannot be affected by these circumstances. And Honorable Speaker, just to mention that, for example, right now, even when you look at the university entrance, like one of the issues that is being faced by the medical faculty is that they are admitting more students than they should actually be admitting in some of the top universities. And these are the repercussions and issues that the COOPS is having, that the different departments within the education system is having, that are really causing problems to an extent that there is no quality education that people are receiving. And Honorable Speaker, also, we want to have more alliances, more mangus, more precious bloods across the whole country. So if we do have this in place, it means that the amounts of capitation will actually dwindle down to the institutions that we do have, and a good spread of resources. Because as they say, Honorable Speaker, is that money follows functions. And therefore, the schools that we do have, you find that a school like a school in Nyamira that is equally as good infrastructure, but because majority of the students have gone to Nyambaria High School, which is a national school, or Sironga Girls, which is a national school, so the other schools end up suffering in terms of not getting being distributed to those schools, and therefore the students who are there actually suffer. So, Honorable Speaker, I just want to say that this that the Honorable Clive Gisairo has brought, that he sits in the Education Committee. I know he has a lot of experience that they do receive from different institutions, as well as state departments within the education structure, about this, to support this particular motion by seconding it and encouraging the other honorable members to also support this motion forward into the implementation level. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I do second and I submit. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Mayaka. Honorable Member,
that aware that Kenya's education sector has faced escalating infrastructure pressures, facilities, particularly in boarding schools. Concerned that despite the introduction of an online learner placement portal in the Ministry of Education to widen access and expedite transfers among schools, there continues to be inequitable outcomes, disproportionately disadvantaged rural learners who suffer digital exclusion. Acknowledging that
parental preference for Category 1 or C1, Category 2, C2 schools owing to their improved infrastructure, including boarding amenities, courses of enrollment in C1 and C2 schools. Recalling that during the inaugural admission of grade 10 learners into senior schools in January 2026, under the competency-based curriculum, some C1 and C2 schools invariably admitted learners at double or more of the approved capacity. Noting that this tendency leaves most C3 and C4 schools severely under-enrolled, some below their viable enrollment capacity, concerns that the current capitation model, based on the number of learners per school, is not only misaligned with actual school facilities, but also encourages over-enrollment by some schools in pursuit of a higher capitation funding, observing that the resultant overcrowding of C1 and C2 schools has eroded the recommended teacher-to-student ratio of 1:40, fueled teacher burnout, diminished instructional quality, affected individual learner attention, overstretched facilities, and compromised learner safety in cases of emergencies. Now, therefore, this House resolves that the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with other relevant government agencies and stakeholders, 1, recalibrates the education capitation formula to reflect actual infrastructural capacity and ensure that school receives proportional and equitable capitation as to incentivize enrollment, diversification, and achieve equitable distribution of learners across school categories. 2, develops and enforces guidance for capping the number of streams per category of schools at a maximum of 10 for C1 schools, 8 for C2 schools, 5 for C3, and 3 for C4 schools, while each stream not exceeding 40 students. And 3, implements a targeted and accelerated infrastructural upgrade program in C3 and C4 schools, including classrooms, laboratories, ICT hubs, boarding, sanitation, and amenities, so as to achieve infrastructure standardization across all categories of schools, safeguarding the quality of education and systematically eliminate overcrowding in C1 and C2 schools. Honorable members, we can now go ahead and debate. I see Honorable Mishi's card in the House, but I believe she has stepped out for another matter. I now give this opportunity to the Honorable Dorothy Kiara, nominated member.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I really want to thank the Honorable Member, Giseiro, for coming up with this very important motion where he is seeking streamlining admission, capitation, and infrastructure management in our senior schools. Honorable Speaker, it is important for all of us to agree that education in this country is a basic right. And in the Article 53 of our Constitution of Kenya, it provides for this free compulsory education. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, 100% transition of our students is not the reason why we are where we are in the education sector. Madam Speaker, it is important for all of us to admit that we have enough schools in this country. Coupled with what this government, this administration of Dr. William Samoei Ruto has managed to do and achieve in the last 4 years. 100,000 teachers, additional to what was already existing, is no means. is not a small means, Honorable Madam Speaker. And therefore, Honorable Madam Speaker, I don't want to dwell on so much on what failed structural systems can do. Because, Honorable Madam Speaker, here we are only talking about one thing, a policy lapse. Because every school in this country is known the capacity that it can accommodate. But because, Honorable Speaker, we all fail to feel sufficient that our children, including our own students, can be able to learn in a local school and achieve. This is why we all crave and want to overcrowd schools that have a title. I dare say, Honorable Speaker, these schools are not overcrowded by our local communities. It is as they read. We want our children to go to Alliance. We want our children to go to Nairobi School. We want our children to go to the Nana. And subsequently, what we do is we go and insert a lot of pressure to the principals in these schools because they are commanded to take more than the capacity, what they can accommodate. Honorable Speaker, I don't think an ordinary Kenyan can force a Kenya high school principal to accommodate an extra student in that school. So the capacity is well known. But because of the culture of us Kenyans, wanting to do things always so that we can turn around again and complain, that is why we are where we are. Honorable Madam Speaker, I want to agree with what Honorable Gesailo is trying to advance. Overstressed facilities, compromised learners' safety, especially in terms of emergencies. And we have had these emergencies in the very recent times. And we are waiting for another calamity in the future so that we can come back again here and ask what is it that is not happening. We don't correct the mistakes that we are in. Honorable Madam Speaker, we have the full burnout of our teachers in schools which are overcrowded. Whereas, Madam Speaker, we have schools in this country where teachers will sit in the staff room having very few lessons to teach because they don't have enough students. I want to agree with the Honorable Member because he is seeking that we have improved infrastructure in all our schools. It is not difficult, Honorable Madam Speaker, for us to change all our schools and turn them to the level of C1. If we wanted to do that, we can do it. We have the capacity. We have all what it takes. And we have examples of schools that are doing exemplarily too well in academics, regardless of what grade those schools, how those schools have been classified. Honorable Madam Speaker, I want to give an example of a school in Egembe South. Egembe South constituency, where the school has a capacity of over 1,500 students. It is a day school, Honorable Madam Speaker. I will not say the infrastructure is equally improved in this school under the leadership and stewardship of Honorable John Paul Mwirigi, who was a former student in that day school. This day school has been doing very well. Last year, they had 400 students. And out of the 400, 308 transited to the university. That means, Honorable Madam Speaker, education and the quality of education that we want to achieve in this country is all in our minds. It is not in alliance. It is not in the C1 schools, Honorable Madam Speaker. So ideally, I want our parents to know We don't have to overcrowd in any institutions to achieve what our students will achieve at the end of their 4 years. Honorable Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I want to urge the authorities in this country. We are the ones who formulate these policies. And the Ministry of Education does not land short of policies. Let them adhere to the policies that they formulate. If the school capacity of a school's admission is 400 students translating to that school in grade 10, let no pressure allow them to take beyond the 400, Madam Speaker. This will ensure that all the amenities in that school will be enjoyed by the students in that school. It is hell when a student goes to a school with very high expectations, Madam Speaker, yet they squeeze in a dormitory. They cannot sleep comfortably. Food gets finished when they are in the queue because that school does not have the capacity. Honorable Madam Speaker, improving our infrastructure will be in vain because the more we improve one particular school and disregard even the other schools, the more that school will be overcrowded. So for us to have a cure of all this, Madam Speaker, it is very simple. Let us adhere to the policies that we formulate. Let this House be in the forefront of ensuring that when we pass this motion by Honorable Gisialo, the implementation part of it is followed to the letter. Because, Madam Speaker, we don't want to be a house that comes here, debates a motion, passes it unanimously, and there is no follow-up of the same. I would want to see a different scenario, Honorable Madam Speaker. Next year, January grade 10, that every school admits the capacity that the ministry has allowed them to admit. Madam Speaker, even capitation that we are talking about, capitation, because if we over-enroll, the capitation that will go to that particular institution will not match with the students in the institution. So, Honorable Madam Speaker, I support this motion, and I want to say, let us walk the talk. Thank you, Honorable Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Dorothy. The Honorable Millie Othiambo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And Madam Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Getsairo for bringing this important motion. And Madam Speaker, I think it's very notable that this motion is brought by Honorable Getsairo, who is a one-term proponent, and seconded by Honorable Irene Mayaka, a two-term proponent. Madam Speaker, I wanted to say this before I commence because I want our young people outside there to note that members of parliament are not taking pangas and cutting themselves. And I also want them to note that Honorable Getsairo is a man and has not raped Honorable Irene. They are members of parliament from different sides and are not killing each other. We are basically doing the work for the country. So don't allow yourself as a young person to be misused when you see honorable members in the House are doing totally the opposite of what you are doing out there as a young person. Madam Speaker, having said that, I want to speak very briefly to this, that on my way here, I actually saw some construction on the road. And I felt sad because that's what comes to my mind every time. That when I see this construction, I'm like, so who the hell is sitting here now? Because in Kenya, we hardly come up with the new things unless we want to make money out of it. even though sometimes good comes out of it, and sometimes good doesn't come out of it. But when you see that we are giving the police new uniform, somebody wants to make money. You ask yourself, so what was wrong with the old uniform of the police? And Madam Speaker, if you see us changing education system, when we have not had a problem with the old one, it's because somebody wants to corruptly make money. And I've listened to Honorable Gizairo very carefully. And I'm actually shocked that some C1 schools are getting, the heads of some of the C1 schools are controlling close to 1 billion shillings a year. Madam Speaker, if I was corrupt, I would actually resign from being a member of parliament and go to become a principal of a C1 school. Because it's much easier then to get a lot of money. And when I listened to some of the members, I heard that this system, the education system, is controlled by cartels. And that is why, Madam Speaker, you see that, today there's a member of the County Assembly of Homa Bay was struggling to say a very simple English word, but he wants to become a member of parliament. From a county assembly, cannot speak, cannot control, cannot communicate, both in Kiswahili and in English. But he wants to become the member of parliament for Ndiwa. And why would we make it possible? Because, again, of corruption. Madam Speaker, I think some of these policies, before they pass, that is why we provided issues of public participation and the National Assembly. They need to be seriously interrogated. You don't just wake up as a ministry one day and say, from today we are moving from national schools to C1. What is the mischief you are trying to cure from the old system? Madam Speaker, we are killing the smaller schools in our constituencies. Yesterday, some people came to visit me from my constituency regarding a school called Kayanja that has been doing very well. Now, one of the grades has 7 students because everybody is running to C1 and C3 schools. And then we are going to have very, very poor, education because teachers are exhausted, they are suffering burnout, while other people are making money. And beyond what Gizairo is doing, I think these are issues that I don't know whether the Committee on Education has dealt with this, Madam Speaker. But these are things that, as Parliament, sometimes we need to put our foot down. You can't have schools like Alliance having more than their fair share, simply because money must come with the number of students. We have recently seen students and arrests. And I heard Honorable Mukami as I was coming, moving a very good motion on counseling for children in schools. But why are we counseling? We are the ones who are we are the cause of the problems. We are the ones who are putting too much pressure. How can one teacher be responsible for 500 students, Madam Speaker? It's not a political rally. Those are schools, Madam Speaker. And when we have that situation, that is how we will have children who will grow up who are indisciplined, children who don't listen to anyone, children who do not care how the society is and have no values because the values are no longer inculcated in schools. How will you be inculcating values to students who are 4,000 in one stream, Madam Speaker? I think this should actually, if you are serious as a country, this should be considered a crisis and dealt with as a crisis. And I think as Parliament, we need to put our foot down. There are too many changes that are going on that we don't understand why they are going on as a country. Explain to us before you effect them. What is the purpose of some of these changes? If something is good, don't change it. You can improve it, but don't change what is working. And whenever we try to change what is working, we create up more messes, Madam Speaker. So I want to thank Honorable Gizairo, and I hope the Ministry of Education is listening. And if they are not listening, let Parliament put its foot down and deal. And let us go back. If we need to go back to the old system, let it be so. I thank you, Madam Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Millie Odhiambo. Honorable members, I think we can also be encouraged by the fact that motions are no longer just urging. It is resolving. So I think that is a very positive change. I mean, that has been made in Parliament. So I believe that these motions will be, after they are passed, they can be implemented. The Honorable Mudende.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity to contribute to this very important motion by my colleague, Honorable Gisairo. And though he is one term and I'm two term, this is for Kenya and we stand together. I must say, for constituencies like where I come from, Mbeere North, which has been marginalized for very long, the main thing we can offer our people is education. Quality education will guarantee their success in future. Unfortunately, this is not so because of a myriad of factors, some of which are going to be addressed by this motion if adopted. One, most of our students go to C4 schools. Yeah, and you find that the infrastructure in these schools, which is addressed by point number 3, is not adequate. Most schools don't even have laboratories, they don't have enough teachers, some schools don't even have enough classrooms. And it's not always that most of the students in these schools are there because of poor grades. There are some students who cannot afford these other schools and they end up in a C4 school. Imagine if you have a student who has qualified for C1, they cannot afford and they end up in a C4 and you condemn them, yeah, because of poor infrastructure. Sometimes they don't even have science teachers and you end up messing the life of such a student. That's why I really support this motion. Point number 3, ensure the ministry, when you register a school, let it not just be to increase the number of registered schools. Let the infrastructure be sufficient. Let them have enough teachers so that if you end up with a student who has qualified for a C1 school in a C4 school, then they are guaranteed of success. And as mentioned by a member of parliament here during the contribution, there are C4 schools which are doing very well, but if you look at those schools, they have proper infrastructure. Most of them are near towns, like I have such a school in my constituency. Now, coming to capitation. So you have a school which registers very few students in terms of enrollment, and they have the same infrastructure. They need a gateman, they need a cook, they pay for electricity. So if you have few students, it means even if you get capitation, and I know most members of parliament here through bursaries, they support schools, then the school cannot even support payment of support staff. So it's important that we look at this recalibration, that's the word used in this motion, so that we don't end up with overcrowding in some schools, so they have...
Order. Honorable Gachagua, you have a point of order?
Sorry. Thank you, Madam Speaker. Yeah, I wanted to request under studying order number 95, whether that we are all in agreement, whether we can maybe, Madam Speaker, request the mover to reply. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Before I check whether it's a mood of the House, I will allow the Honorable Amudende to finish.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Speaker. So, to make it short, is we need to ensure quality in our schools, quality of education, good infrastructure so that our students do not get a road deal. And this is a bill that is, this is a motion that we actually need to support as this House because it will help all Kenyan learners. With that, Madam Speaker, I support the motion.
Thank you, Honorable Mudende. Honorable members, I'll put the question to confirm whether the Honorable Gachagua, who rose on standing order number 95, whether it is the mood of the House that the mover be called to reply. Will as many as of that opinion say aye? Will as many as of a contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. So, mover, you may go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Reply.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. First of all, I would like to thank all the members who've contributed to this motion, because this motion is meant for the good of our children, for the good of the education system in this country, to ensure that we do not commercialize the education sector, but instead ensure that the education sector is meant and is designed to impart knowledge to our young children. Honorable Speaker, it is our belief that once this motion is passed, the capitation formula will be recalibrated to ensure that even schools with minimum students does get adequate funds to support its operations. Honorable Speaker, that when this motion is implemented, the resolutions of this House, that there will be no overcrowding in schools in the coming 3 years, because all C1 schools, none will be exceeding a given number of students, in this case 1,200, and that cascades downwards all the way to C4 schools, and ensure that our schools have students and therefore our teachers are properly spread to support the spread of number of students. Last, Honorable Speaker, this will force the ministry to ensure that infrastructure in C3 and C4 schools is revamped and resources put there to ensure that every child in this corner, as Honorable Mudende said, not all C4 schools have students who didn't qualify to C1 schools. Some are there because of circumstances. We need this child to have an equal opportunity like the child in a C1 school where he had qualified to attend. Honorable Speaker, with that, I beg to reply.
I'll give a chance to you, to the Honorable Millie. You may sit. It's quite long. So, thank you, Honorable members. I'll now put the question that aware that Kenya's education sector has faced escalating infrastructure pressures, culminating in overstretched facilities, particularly in boarding schools, concerned that despite the introduction of an online learner placement portal in December 2025 by the Ministry of Education to widen access and expedite transfers among schools, there continues to be inequitable outcomes disproportionately disadvantaged rural learners who suffer digital exclusion, acknowledging that parental preference for Category 1, C1, and Category 2, C2 schools, owing to their improved infrastructure, including boarding amenities, causes over enrollment in C1 and C2 schools, recalling that during the inaugural admission of grade 10 learners into senior schools in January 2026, under the competency-based curriculum, some C1 and C2 schools invariably admitted learners at double or more of their approved capacity, noting that the tendency leaves most Category 3, C3, and Category 4, C4 schools severely under-enrolled, some below their viable enrollment capacity, concerned that the current capitation model based on the number of learners per school is not only misaligned with actual school facilities, but also encourages over-enrollment by some schools in pursuit of their capitation funding. Observing that the resultant overcrowding in C1 and C2 schools has eroded the recommended teacher to student ratio 1:40, fueled teacher burnout, diminished instructional quality, affected individual learner attention, overstretched facilities, and compromised learner safety in cases of emergencies. Now, therefore, this House resolves that the Ministry of Education, in collaboration with other relevant government agencies and stakeholders, one, recalibrates the education capitation formula to reflect the actual infrastructural capacity and ensure that schools receive proportional and equitable capitation so as to incentivize enrollment diversification and achieve equitable distribution of learners across the school categories. Two, develops and enforces guidance for capping the number of streams per category of schools at maximum of 10 for C1 schools, 8 for C2, 5 for C3, and 3 for C4 schools, while each stream not exceeding 40 students. And 3, implements a targeted and accelerated infrastructure upgrade program in C3 and C4 schools, including classrooms, laboratories, ICT hubs, boarding, sanitation, and amenities, so as to achieve infrastructure standardization across all categories of schools, safeguarding the quality of education and systematically eliminate overcrowding in C1 and C2 schools. Will as many as are of that opinion say aye? Aye. Will as many as are contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 15, motion, recruitment and remuneration of community and health promoters.
So, thank you very much. Honorable members, before we move to the next order, I would like to recognize students seated this morning inside Parliament, students from we have students seated in the Speaker's Gallery this morning from Soy Mening Junior School, from Eldamaravine constituency, Baringo County. You may stand to be recognized. You are welcome to the National Assembly to observe proceedings of the House. Honorable members, we also have students seated in the public gallery this afternoon. Students from Live and Learn School in Nakuru West constituency, Nakuru County. You are welcome to the National Assembly to continue observing proceedings of the House. Honorable Murungara, you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that, aware that the community health promoters, popularly known as CHPs, play an integral role in the delivery of primary health care at the community level by providing basic health services, including health promotion and education, disease prevention and early detection, support for maternal and child health interventions, and community mobilization. Further, aware that community health promoters serve as the first point of contact between households and the formal health system, concerned that despite their important contribution to the realization of the universal health coverage and the attainment of the highest attainable standard of health under Article 43(1) of the Constitution, community health promoters continue to discharge these critical duties with inadequate facilitation and insufficient remuneration, acknowledging that proper facilitation, motivation, and fair remuneration of community health promoters would enhance service delivery. strengthen preventive health care, and reduce pressure on health facilities, cognizant of the fact that health policy is a function of the national government. Now, therefore, this House resolves that the national government formulates and implements a policy framework to guide on the recruitment, remuneration of the community health promoters across the country. Honorable Speaker, this is a very important motion in that it deals with community health promoters, the successors in title to the community health volunteers who served this country for a while, but dedicatedly. Honorable Speaker, you recall that during the COVID-19 pandemic, the community health volunteers came up as a stopgap measure to ensure that we do adhere to hygienic measures that were put in place by the Ministry of Health to avert the calamity, the catastrophe that was about to befall us, the country, and the world because of the COVID-19 pandemic. These volunteers went around the country promoting health care, but without any remuneration. They were volunteers. And similar to them were a group of people we have just looked at recently called the area managers or the village elders. Again, who went around the country discharging their duties, very important in administration, but without any remuneration. Madam Speaker, this government came into power on an undertaking that it would be a bottom-up government. We would start with those who are down, bring them up to middle level, and eventually everybody should actually attain the top. Therefore, today, we discuss a very important sector of the health department of this country, who are actually the basic persons at the grassroots. At the grassroots.
The wait is over. KBC Iko Huduma Center, starting with Nairobi. KBC imekuwa rahisi. From digital guidance and signet services to booking of commercial adverts and documentaries. Visit our dedicated desks at Huduma Center GPO, Times Square, Makadara, Kibera, or Eastleigh. Tunakungoja hapo. Whether it's a casual announcement or a specialized media solution for your business, we are here to serve you. KBC at Huduma Centers. Moving closer to you. Your station, your service.